The NHL's 75th anniversary party begins tonight. It'll last for 880 regular season games before the playoffs begin in April. This diamond anniversary celebration takes in 22 NHL cities as the league begins play tonight, and by the end of the season, we'll be up to 24. Welcome to Chicago Stadium. All of us with Sports Channel America are thrilled to be a part of this diamond celebration. An agreement reached today, an extension of the existing agreement between Sports Channel America and the National Hockey League, will allow us to bring you 150 games again this season, including the Stanley Cup Championship matchup. There is so much wonderful history involved in hockey, and so much of it originated here at Chicago Stadium. And yes, certainly between the Blackhawks and the Detroit Red Wings. Two teams that meet tonight for the 596th time in regular season play. And the two men who call the Blackhawks action for you over the regular season, Pat Foley and Dale Talon, are in the broadcast booth with a look at tonight's event.
Thank you very much, Jiggs, and we're in the most exciting building in hockey in the world, and the Chicago Stadium should be rocking tonight as the Blackhawks and the Red Wings lock horns for almost the 600th time. This Detroit team has the potential maybe to be one of the most improved teams of the National Hockey League. They're paced by a great star, Steve Yzerman.
Well, they were one of the most improved teams over last season. They ended up with 76 points. Steve Yzerman's always been a star player. One added thing to this particular game. He was cut by Mike Keenan in the Canada Cup situation. I'm sure Steve Yzerman will be motivated to have a great night and a great season against the Chicago Blackhawks to prove Mike Keenan wrong.
One thing the Red Wings will be hoping for, big contributions from two new European defensemen.
Well, that's one place where they lacked last year. Defensively, they didn't have much mobility. They drafted a young Swede, Nicholas Lindstrom, Konstantinov, the Soviet player with a lot of skill. So they'll be better on the blue line, something that they needed to improve on over last season.
I'm not sure if there's ever been a 100-point team in the history of the National Hockey League that has been busier than the Blackhawks were. They won the President's Trophy last year with 106 points, and yet they may field a lineup tonight which would feature 8 players which were not here at the start of last season. And 2 of them will be on the blue line tonight. Steve Smith, acquired just yesterday, will play even though he hasn't skated in a week and a half, and Brian Marchment, also acquired during the offseason.
Well, Marchment and Smith add some muscle to the already big line of the Blackhawks. Their defense has always been solid, especially last year. They gave up the fewest goals. But this year they figured their defense will have to be strong because their offense is suffering. But they made the deal to get Smith and Marchment to add more muscle. Also, 2 unproven goaltenders, Jimmy Waite and Dominic Hasek at Belfort. 43 wins last year, not signed, not in the lineup. So the pressure obviously on those 2.
That's for sure, but of course people forget that last year at this same time the Blackhawks also didn't know who their #1 goalie was, and of course Belfort went on to have the terrific Calder winning, or I should say the Vezina Trophy winning season. Let's go back downstairs to Jiggs.
Thanks, gentlemen. Don't you love those old uniforms and this great rivalry? The National Hockey League's 75th anniversary season already underway in Boston and in Montreal. Scene 3 in this opening chapter coming up from Chicago Stadium live on Sports Channel America in just a moment.
Chicago Stadium, where the Chicago Blackhawks have just been presented with the President's Trophy, emblematic of their top spot in the league overall a year ago, achieving 106 points. And John Ziegler, the president of the league, just made the presentation to Blackhawk captain Dirk Graham. Of course, well received with a great round of applause from the local faithful. And that has been completed, and now there'll be a ceremonial face-off as the league gets ready to kick off its 75th season. And the legendary Hall of Famer Stan Mikita, along with the honorary captain of the Blackhawks for this year, local boy Jim Belushi, the great movie star, are going to be out at center ice to help kick off with the ceremonial puck drop.
Well, that's the best Belushi's ever looked. He must have to get that suit back by midnight. I've never seen him in a suit and tie before.
Look at Mikita. Everything matches on him, too.
No checks. But Belushi, a great fan, a great hockey fan, a great Chicago sports fan, a Cubs fan, and a wonderful sense of humor, to say the least.
Well, every team in the league has selected an honorary captain, and Jim Belushi has been given that distinction by the Chicago Blackhawks. And I really like these old-time sweaters. This is a great idea, I think, that the league has had to promote the opening of their 75th season. Only the original 6 teams are playing tonight, and the Blackhawks and Red Wings donning their original replicas of the original sweater.
I'm glad I didn't play in that era. With those stripes going that way, I'd look a lot fatter than I really am. But even in Toronto, the Toronto Maple Leafs took the train to go play the game in Montreal, and that was the mode of transportation Blackhawks used to play in Montreal this Saturday, get on the train right after the game and take the train right back to Chicago and play Sunday night and get back just in time to play the game. But these are great looking uniforms.
Well, the Blackhawks and the Red Wings about ready to lock horns, but first, let's enjoy the always exciting in Chicago Stadium national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, sing us that star-spangled banner yet wave, for the land of the free and the home of the
Tim Cheveldae gets the start for the Red Wings. He took over the #1 spot last year. Had an outstanding year with 30 wins and a .355 goals against average. Lifetime against the Blackhawks, he's 3-4-1 and a 2.78 goals against average. Very acrobatic goaltender who's taken over the #1 role. Last year it was Ed Belfour, the unknown. He went on to have a brilliant year. This time, Jimmy Wade will get the opportunity. His second or third start against Detroit ever. He has one win. No losses and no ties against Detroit, but Jimmy Wade, after 2 successful seasons in the minor leagues, gets the opportunity now to be the #1 guy. They drafted him first overall in '87, expecting him to be the franchise goaltender.
And the officials for this game tonight, they too looking like the old-timers, except for Kerry Frazier's hairstyle. But they've donned the old sweaters that officials used to wear in this league. Kerry Frazier is the referee, and the linesman will be Ron Finn and Leon Stickle.
I like these better than the stripes. I think they should stay with these. Brian Murray, general manager and coach, in his second season behind the bench with the Detroit Red Wings. And a marvelous career with the Washington Capitals. In 7 full seasons there, he averaged 95 points a year with the Capitals. He and Keenan go back a long way. They go back to junior hockey days in Ontario and Canada, and they battled quite.
There is no love lost between the two opposing coach/GMs in this game. The two teams have a great rivalry, and so do those two particular individuals. Kerry Frazier gets ready to drop the puck. Steve Yzerman out there for the Wings. He's got the electrifying Soviet Fedorov on the left side, and on right wing for Detroit, Ray Shepard. For the Blackhawks, Jeremy Roenick. Great star, young centerman, just signing a multi-year contract a few days ago. Roenick has Larmer on the right and Steve Thomas on left wing, and here we go. As the draw is cleared into the Chicago zone, and Chris Chelios circles the Blackhawk net. He's forced to turn by Fedorov. Now, having difficulty getting away from the forechecker. Chelios again circling. Now he ran into Kerry Frazier, who did not anticipate that move. Hawks give away one, no, almost, as it was knocked out of the slot area by Larmer, and now Thomas on the left side sends Chelios to center. He flipped it over the line. Roenick with a bouncing puck, centered one. He just missed Larmer, who was streaking for the net. And back come the Red Wings. Here's Yzerman. Stepping over the Hawk line, going wide to the corner, a backhander from there, stopped by Wade, and he goes down to cover. Now is going to play it, and he had the Hawks confused as Roenick thought a whistle was coming, but Chicago managed to clear it to center ice. Wings will drive it right back in there. Both teams making changes on the go as Steve Thomas kicks it to the Red Wing line. And now it's shot back the other way. Bouncing around at center, and Gerard Gallant rather got tied up along the boards. And now the Wings control with McCrimmon in his own end. Clearing it out into the Chicago zone. Bob Probert racing after it against Keith Brown. Probert into the corner, colliding with Brown. They battle heavily on the near side. Puck loose along the boards now. And John Tonelli unable to get it out. Now has a second chance. Tonelli wearing number 72 to Dirk Graham, who flips it into the Red Wing zone. Cheveldae sweeps it over to the far side. Held in there by the Hawks. Brown tees it up. His shot didn't get through. Probert to the near side was beaten to it by Graham, who out-hustled him. Graham put it behind the net. Tonelli looking to center, hit the side of the goal. Rolls free on the far board, and the Wings look to clear, and they do. Fire it down the length of the ice. It'll be icing if Conroy can get there first, and he does.
Well, 3 former Islanders on the Blackhawk roster on this particular shift. Gilbert, Conroy, and the newly acquired John Tonelli. Those 3 guys having experience with the Islanders know how to win, and Steve Conroy, what an acquisition he's been for the Blackhawks. He's been one of the steadiest performers for them on the blue line. Not flashy, but he and Keith Brown have been a wonderful combination. They've really been consistent game in and game out for the Blackhawks.
One of the keys as far as the Hawks are concerned for this year, they have got to find some production offensively from a line other than the Roenick line, and the man out there right now, Adam Creighton, looms as a very important part of this year for the Chicago side. Creighton is out there with Michel Goulet on the left and Brian Noonan on right wing. The Red Wings have Kevin Miller out there at center. Here's the draw. Cleared out to center, and Ranasek Kuchera flipped it back into the Red Wing zone. Konstantinov, the Soviet defenseman, tied up in the corner, got help from Brad Marsh. And the veteran blue liner whacked it out to center ice. Here comes Miller to the Hawk line, turning on the near board. Miller takes a look and shoots it. Didn't get through. Raul in front, a shot, they score! Jimmy Waite went down prematurely and could not get back up as the puck laid loose right in the slot area. And an easy backhand goal scored, I believe, by Garpenlaw for Eisbart. And the Wings lead 1-0.
One of the new faces, Eisbart picked up in a trade last year. They traded Lee Norwood for Eisbart, who had great success in the American Hockey League. The shot deflected off the leg, off Jimmy Waite, the inside of his left pad. He's looking to his left, has no idea where the puck is. Only Brian Noonan of the Blackhawks seemed to know where it was. The shot coming from the point, let go by Kevin Miller, deflected off Waite. Waite doesn't know where it is. Backhand shot into an empty net for Eisbart, and the Red Wings take the early lead at 2:26.
Paul Eisbart at the 2.5-minute mark puts Detroit out in front, and here come the Hawks off the draw. Roenick gets the line, was forced to the near board by Marsh. Steve Smith kept it in. Bounce one into the near corner. Now roll loose in front, just over the stick of Roenick as Cheveldae had gone down on the play. Now Thomas whacks it to center ice, and here's Smith, who's been off skates for a week and a half. Just acquired yesterday by the Hawks from the Edmonton Oilers. And Smith is in the Hawk lineup tonight. Early in the game, it's Detroit 1 and Chicago nothing. He saw Steve Conroy in his own end, pass it to himself off the board. Then he got run over by Sean Burr, and the Wings keep it in. Brown on the near side. Trying to battle his way loose. He's harassed now by Troy Crowder, and Keith Brown able to clear it back into the Detroit zone. Steve Racine back for the Wings. His clearing effort didn't get out on the near boards to Grimson. He took a bump from Racine, and the Wings slide it back into Chicago territory. This will be another icing call coming against Detroit.
Second opportunity for the youngster. The future looks good for Detroit. Racine, first round pick a couple of seasons ago, a very mobile defenseman, good playmaker. Racine last year in his first full season with 40 assists. And the Red Wings are looking for big things from a big youngster, Kevin Primo. He's 6'4", 220. You put Primo at center between Crowder and Probert, and you've got yourself a big line. And Primo is going to get a lot of room if they put those twin towers on his either side. You've got Fedorov and Yzerman. This Detroit team has improved immensely over last season.
The Draw to Steve Smith at the near point. He lets it go. It got blocked to the deep slot. Chelios trying to keep it in, but it's knocked off his stick back to center, where Larmer threw it back into Detroit ice, and McCrimmon is on it. And McCrimmon got knocked off the puck by Jeremy Roenick, who got it out to the far point. Chelios was knocked down there, still centered one, but nobody home for Chicago. And now the Wings with the lead. Here's a shot, and they score! Number 91, Sergei Fedorov, the electrifying Soviet, snuck in behind the Hawk defense. Wade got a piece with his glove, but not enough. 2-0 Detroit.
Well, the fans relentless. It doesn't take them long. They're yelling and chanting Eddie, Eddie already. But play kept in by Chelios, but he lost his balance, swatted to McCrimmon. McCrimmon gets it across. The quick pass and the shot by Fedorov off the glove. Ray Shepard, recently acquired, played with Buffalo and the Rangers, made the pass right on the money. Fedorov right on the line, onside, and muscled a wrist shot through the glove of Jimmy Wade.
A 31-goal rookie season for Fedorov. He begins his second year auspiciously in the NHL with a goal at the .357 mark, and it's 2-0 Wing. Now the play in the neutral zone. Kuchera looking for Graham, but the pass was behind him. Gerard Gallant tied him up, and Brad Marsh took it away. Marsh lifts it up the near side, back to center. Taken by Brian Marchment. And now the Hawks put it back behind the Red Wing net. Cheveldae sweeps it on the left wing board. Marchment got there to keep it in, trying to center one, bouncing puck in front, and John Tonelli couldn't get rid of the shot. Good defensive play by Brad Marsh to tie him up. Probert the other way, has the line, shooting. That's blocked by Marchment. Rolled free into the far corner, and Tonelli able to clear it back to the Red Wing line. Racine quickly back the other way, feeding Rick Sambo on the near side. He left it for Probert. Who's center when a shot, waiting to save, and a good quick reaction, a good release by Jimmy Carson. And now a penalty is going to be called as a Hawk player. Goulet was yanked to the ice in the neutral zone, and the first penalty of the game will go to the Red Wings. Blackhawks head to the power play, trailing 2-0.
Play on Goulet's part in the neutral zone. Blackhawks go to the power play, and a much-needed goal for them. They're down 2-0 in the early going here of the first period. Last year they were 4th overall in the power play, the Blackhawks. The Red Wings, on the other hand, they're penalty killing 18th overall. Not a very good percentage.
Goulet whacked it to the line, but Steve Smith unable to keep it in. And Smith, wearing the number of the man he was traded for, Dave Manson, goes back into his own end. Smith trying to start it away, feeds to center. Goulet tapped it over the line. Now Larmer on right wing, cuts in there for Goulet. He's in! He scored! A great pass by Steve Larmer to put Michel Goulet on the doorstep, and he got Cheveldae down and out, and it's 2-1 now in favor of the Wings.
Well, all started deep in the Hawk zone. Good heads-up play by Steve Smith. Everyone thought he was going to go around the boards, but he put it up the middle to Goulet, overskated it. It was flipped by Roenick to Larmer. Goulet sees Larmer with the puck, 2-on-1. Goulet sprints to the ice, waits for Cheveldae, waits, and then just tucks it in inside the near post. You can see why Goulet has scored so many goals throughout his career. He just had a lot of patience, waited. 488 career goals for Goulet.
The 31-year-old veteran sniper, who's been a 3-time first-team All-Star in the mid-'80s, scores the first goal of the year for the Blackhawks, and now the Detroit lead is cut in half. Here's Lidstrom deep in his own zone for Detroit. He cleared it to center. Steve Yzerman has it there, slipped it ahead to Fedorov, but he's well covered by Dirk Graham, last year's Selke award-winning winger, as the top defensive forward in the league. Here's Lemieux over the line, a wrist shot and a save by Cheveldae. He shot that one on edge. It was a bit of a knuckleball, and Tim Cheveldae took no chances with it.
Joshua Lemieux's first shift, a good shift for him. Joshua Lemieux, acquired from the Montreal Canadiens, has been a big plus for the Blackhawks, especially in this building. He's been able to dish out some crunching hard checks, especially in a forechecking role. And now he's playing center. We've had John Tonelli for the Blackhawks playing center, a position we saw him play last year in the playoffs in face-off situations for LA. And Lemieux, normally left wing, playing center with Gilbert and Graham.
Well, we've seen it from Mike Keenan in the 3 previous years he's been with the Blackhawks. You got to be on your toes on that bench because you never know what line combination you'll be with or what position you'll be playing. He's not afraid to try anything. The play's back in the Hawk zone now. A scramble on the boards. Fedorov dug it out. His shot got blocked by Smith. And then Graham ran Fedorov over with the wings. Keep it in. Into the near corner it goes. Shepard centered and a shot. Shot just wide. Yzerman just missed by a few inches of scoring again for Detroit. Now Lemieux trying to calm things down in the Hawk zone. Put it to the far board. Then Graham kicked it back to Lemieux. And he shot it into Detroit territory. And this will be an icing call coming up against the Blackhawks. 13 minutes left to go in the first period. It's Detroit 2 and Chicago 1. Chicago Stadium as the Blackhawks move into the Red Wing zone. Brian Newton with a wrist shot. Chevrolet made a save and got enough of it to keep it out of the net. It's cleared to the line. Hawks try to hold it in, but Thomas was turned around. And now Crowder rolls it back into the Blackhawks zone. Ryan Marchment swings it around the boards. Noonan on right wing, had it knocked off his stick, but right to Kuchera. He chipped it ahead to Thomas. Steve Thomas lifting one deep into the Red Wing end. Brad March, long feed to center ice. Bouncing puck to Primo. Keith Primo gets the line, and Chelios took him off the puck. Good play against a much bigger man, and then Chelios got knocked down, and Keith Primo will take a bad penalty here for Detroit. Hawks get the goaltender to the bench, but Brian Noonan gets knocked down, and now Racine controls, and the whistle sounds. And the Blackhawks will head to their second straight power play. It's 2-1 Wings.
Big rangy centerman appeared to have a step on Chelios. Chelios went for the move but recovered nicely. Seemed to cross-check him a bit. Primo took exception to it and then just drilled him with a left. Chelios went down. Primo went to the box, and the Hawks looking to tie it up on their second straight power play.
Racine got tangled in the corner with Goulet. Now Larmer came up with it. Steve Larmer trying to pick his way in front, unable to do it, and the Wings able to clear it to center ice. Michel Goulet gave it away, and Miller could not advance it, so he dumped it in. And now the Hawks start back. Here comes Roenick. Sliding it too far for Goulet. Rick Zombo back for Detroit. Hammers it around the boards. Not out. Chelios kept it in for Larmer. Far corner to Goulet. And Larmer got in there to help out. Rolled it to the side of the net. Roenick banks it off the end board to Larmer. Out to the line. Smith. Rolled it to the near side. Taken by Roenick. He takes a look for Goulet. Side of the net. The give and go's not there. Goulet tried to center as Chelios snuck in, but he was well covered. Now Roenick handed it right to Racine, and he clears. A minute is left on the Chicago power play.
Good read on that last shift by Eisbart at the top of the box on the far side. He read the pass from Roenick to Chelios and intercepted it.
Back into the Red Wing zone. Adam Creighton leaves it in the corner. Noonan back to Creighton behind the net. Adam Creighton rattles Brad Marsh. And now Burr came to tie Creighton up even more. Then the puck jumps loose to Thomas. He cuts in, trying to shoot. And a save by Chevrolet as Thomas nearly muscled one underneath him. Here's Noonan in the corner. There'll be another penalty coming up to the wing. Now out to the far point. Marchman a long shot is blocked. The Wings control. The whistle sounds, and Chicago will have a two-man advantage for 24 seconds.
It'll be a holding penalty. Sean Burr, who has discarded the shield. He's played most of his career with the shield. No shield this year, and he gets another penalty. 24 seconds remaining on Primo. It's good play by Steve Thomas. Didn't have much room, but good acceleration. Quickly got to the front of the net. Made it very difficult for Chevrolet, who got a piece of it. And Sean Burr's getting the penalty for grabbing the stick of the Blackhawk player Creighton and then throwing it to center ice. And Fraser whistles him off for a holding. So the Blackhawks with a two-man advantage for 24 seconds.
Let's take 10 seconds here for stations to identify themselves.
Coverage of the National Hockey League's Diamond Anniversary season, live and exclusive only on Sports Channel America.
You're in a situation like this, Pat, down two men, you usually go with your best people, and Steve Yzerman's out there to try and win this draw, and Fedorov, two forwards, which we've seen more and more in the league with the inverted triangle situation. One defenseman usually in the front, and the two forwards putting pressure up high at the top of that triangle.
McCrimmon, the lone defenseman out there for Brian Murray's Red Wings. Now the Hawks with a chance for one rush with a two-man advantage. Here's Chelios. He's got the line. Put it to Roenick on the near side. Dropped it to Smith. Again to Roenick in the near corner. Near point to Smith. Moves it across to a wide open Chelios. He centered one. Oh, too hot to handle for Roenick. Now the first Detroit penalty goal. They score! Right on the doorstep. The second goal of the game for Michel Goulet. A great pass from behind the net by Larmer. And it's 2-2.
Well, we hate to sound repetitive, but 2 goals for Goulet, and he hasn't had the puck on his stick for more than a second in the entire period. He had no time, no room. Great quick pass from Larmer. Larmer was about 8 feet from him. A nice 8-foot pass and a quick 6-foot shot by Goulet into the net. Bang off the boards. Bang. Goulet had wasted no time, and he couldn't afford to. He had to do it quickly. Roenick couldn't handle the Chelios fake slap shot, so he banked it off the end boards. Deflected by Larmer right to Goulet at the top of the crease, and bang, it's in the net.
Michel Goulet from Larmer and Roenick. Both Hawk goals have come on the power play with identical scoring sequences. And now it's a 2-2 game. And the Hawks had best be paying attention to their P's and Q's here in the next little while after they've had 3 straight power plays, scoring on 2 of them. Here come the Wings now. Eisbart. His pass hit a skate. Dirk Graham captures for the Blackhawks. Sends it ahead to Lemieux. And he was hit but delivered the bigger blow as Racine wound up on the deck. Here come the Wings though. Garpenlaw cutting in there. He's knocked down. This will be a penalty against the Blackhawks. And as Garpenlaw tried to storm to the net, he was knocked down. And Detroit to the power play. It's 2-2.
Racine initiated the contact, but he paid the price. And then a good play by Conrad. He had to take a penalty here. Garpenlaw had him beat cleanly on the off wing. He takes him down, and the Blackhawks get their first penalty, a necessary penalty. Meanwhile, the Red Wings go to the power play with a chance to take the lead in a 2-2 game.
Here's the draw, cleared to the near side. Larmer trying to jam it out of there, and he does. And he's bumped at center ice, but he got the puck back, and then his passing attempt deflected over the boards into the Chicago bench. One of the mysteries of the Detroit team is their inability last year to capture or score many goals on the power play. They scored only 57 goals all year long with the extra man, which was 19th in the league. They're only at 16% with all the snipers that they have.
That's amazing. They're penalty killing and power play. 18th in penalty killing, 19th on the power play. Whereas the Blackhawks were 4th on the power play and 2nd in penalty killing. And that's one of the reasons why there was a disparity of 76 to 106 points, 30-point difference. And a lot of it has to do with special teams.
And the Hawks led the league in shorthanded goals last year, as they've done in the last couple of times in the last few seasons. 20 shorties for Chicago a year ago. And Larmer and Roenick out there now. Or Noonan has come on. But always dangerous when Larmer, Roenick, and Graham, any combination of those people as forecheckers, really can give the team with a power play fits. And here's a Noonan steal. He centered and a shot and a save by Cheveldae. Right off the bench, Michel Goulet had a chance for the natural hat trick, and a big stop made by Tim Cheveldae.
3 shots, 3 goals almost for Goulet. A bouncing puck. Surprise. Cheveldae was rather relaxed in his approach. He and the defenseman Racine get tangled up. Noonan gets the loose puck out to Goulet coming on a player change, and he almost snaps in the hat trick goal. Racine and Cheveldae are a little relaxed behind it. I think one of the reasons why the Red Wings didn't have success on their power play, they didn't really have one guy back there that could carry the mail and be the quarterback on the power play.
And the guy who often did fill that role for them is unavailable tonight, Steve Chason, beginning a suspension, which he was handed following an incident in last year's playoffs. So he has to begin serving that tonight, and Chason very often was looked to as the quarterback for the Red Wing power play, but they don't have him in this game. Now the Red Wings have Brad McCrimmon on one point and the Soviet Konstantinov on the other side. Here comes McCrimmon. And ascended ahead. That's hit the linesman and bounced to Graham, looking for the bank pass. He's got Gilbert at center. Greg Gilbert to the line and unable to get around McCrimmon. They did a nice job defensively, but the Wings are down to a half a minute left on this power play. Bob Probert to center ice. Works his way over the Hawk line. Put it to the near side. Carson leaves it for McCrimmon. He put it to the far side. Konstantinov. His pass hits the leg. Graham steal. Clearing.
An amazing penalty kill. They get the best scoring chance and don't allow a shot on goal, the Blackhawks.
7.5 minutes remaining in the opening period. Red Wings scored twice in the first 4 minutes to grab the lead, but the Hawks have caught them. The 2 power play goals. Both teams are now back at full strength as McCrimmon deep in his own end. Leads the Rick Zombo. And now out to center ice. Crowder lifted over the Hawk line, but the Detroit player Primo in there ahead of the play. 7 minutes to go in the first. Chicago 2, Detroit 2. Now a face-off coming up at center ice. It's controlled by the wing. Rick Zombo, Chicago area boy. He blossomed into a very steady defenseman for Detroit, but here's a steal by Thomas. He looks for Tonelli. The pass didn't get there. It was deflected away and now cleared to the neutral zone where Brown lifted up the far side. Racine stole it. Aired it over the line. Sean Burr threw it into the far corner. Taken by Brown. Keith Brown rolled it ahead. 3-on-3. Here's Tonelli over the line. Goes to his backhand. Cutting in with a shot and a save by Cheveldae. Rebound taken by Burr. Sean Burr lifted back into Chicago territory. Primo got knocked off the play by a smaller Conroy. Now into the corner goes Roenick. Jeremy Roenick. Stick handle around it. Check to center ice and flips it in deep. Brad Marsh back for the Wings. Up the near side to Troy Crowder. Crowder looking to clear it and did get it by Steve Smith, who brought it then back in there offside. A couple of rule changes in the National Hockey League this year, Dale. One of them, an attempt by the league to give the goaltenders a little bit more protection.
Well, with the new magnetic posts of the last couple of years, goaltenders were really like sitting ducks. People were going right to the net instead of around the net from the old nets. They were running over goaltenders. People were taking liberties with them. They've eliminated the square crease. They just have the corners. But if a goal is scored while a player is in the crease, even if his toe is in it, it's disallowed goal and a penalty to that player who's in the crease.
Eisbart with a shot that he rips wide. Now into the corner. The Wings dig it out. Konstantinov at the line. And now the give and go pass did not work between Konstantinov and Garpenlov. Vladimir Konstantinov going to send it up the left side. It hit the stick of Eisbart and deflects over the boards into the Red Wing bench.
Also, they've a change in the posts. They don't have those magnets on the bottom as they used to. Now they have some plastic inserts that, and we've seen a couple of exhibition games where the nets have not come off at all, so it's a lot more difficult to knock them off. Less delays. I think the league is trying to speed up the game, especially here in this building. Last year we averaged well over almost 3 hours a game here, and in the playoff situation the games were almost 3 hours and 20 minutes long, and that was without overtime. So a couple of exhibition games here in the stadium. The games were over at that started at 7:35. We're over at 10:10, and that certainly is good news, especially if you're thirsty.
But you know, one of the keys to that crease situation, as you mentioned, if a player's in there, an offensive player, when a goal is scored, the goal is disallowed, a penalty is called. The key there, the player, even if you are knocked into that crease area by an opponent, you must be making an effort to be getting out. If you're doing that, the goal would stand. But they're putting the onus on the offensive player to be making an effort to get out of the way or get out of that goal crease. You're going to see a lot of situations, I imagine, early in the season when officials are going to be called upon to be making that judgment. Even if a man knocks you down and knocks you into the crease, you have to be trying to get out if your team scores. All right, here come the Hawks now. Adam Creighton, there's it over the line, but offside on the play. Steve Thomas, he tried to drag the line, but appeared to lift his back foot. And your skate must be on the ice in order to be ruled onside.
Well, Brian Noonan tried to cut to the middle. Thomas was cutting over to the far wing. He tried to drag the line, but he had to lift his foot so Noonan could stick handle across the line. And an excellent call by the veteran crew here, Finn and Leon Stickle with Kerry Fraser. I think those crests off, they'll probably be seeing a lot of these officials playing golf with them next spring. On a cold spring day, I might add.
Now the Wings Yzerman races over the Hawk line. He takes a look, peels off to the near side. And Chelios stayed right with him the whole way, took it away, and cleared it back into the Red Wings zone. Brad McCrimmon back for Detroit. Cleared it to center. Chelios will pound it right back in there. Just under 5 minutes are left in the opening period. The game tied at a deuce. Now the Wings come away. Fedorov, long feet, has Yzerman over the line. Turning on the far side. Whipped it in there deep. Now got it back. Yzerman behind the Hawk net. Oh, and he just lost an edge as he tried to center. It's stolen away by Graham. Then he overskated it, but carried on by Steve Smith, who sends it deep into the Detroit end of the ice. Now the Wings clear to center. Puck hopped over the stick of Carson. And it's taken away by the Hawks. Brown to Grimson. Dumping it in there. Racine lifted along the far board. It's held in by Peluso for a moment, but then the Wings able to clear it. Back to center, and the Hawks shoot it back in there. Offside. Down to 4 minutes left in the opening period of the opening game. It's 2-2.
Brown gets a holding penalty. It's a phantom call. I did not see it. It was well away from the play, obviously, but Brown will go to the box. Detroit gets its second straight power play. They did not score on their first one and did not get a shot on goal, whereas the Blackhawks had a tremendous scoring chance while shorthanded. Michel Goulet, who has 2 power play goals in the game, very nearly scored his 3rd goal of the night, a shorthanded goal. Hawks, as we mentioned, scored 20 shorthanded goals. There's the Red Wings last year, 19th overall with the power play.
Carson, Gallant, and Probert out there now for Detroit. The rookie Lidstrom along with Racine on the points. Now here's a Larmer steal in his own end. He shot it to center ice.
Key for that turnover, though, Pat. Chelios challenged outside the line, made the player make one extra move, and then a blind dump in was intercepted.
Yves Racine back in his own end for Detroit. Banks it ahead to Carson, who threw it out to center. Now a lead just over the stick of Gallant, deep into the Hawk zone. Gallant chasing in there after it. He took a big hit from Smith, but he got it loose. There's a centering pass that deflects over to the far side. Graham scurries after it and shot it to center ice.
What a hit that was by Steve Smith on Gallant. Gallant, who was injured most of last year, has the bat back. Only played in 45 games, and he doesn't look like Gerard Gallant of old.
And if he cannot return to close to his form of a few years ago, that'd be a major setback for Detroit. He is really one of the great leaders of this hockey team. There's another Hawk steal, and the Wings have been unable to set up so far in the Hawk zone on their power play, which now has just 40 seconds remaining. Here comes Detroit again. Fedorov stripped from behind by Noonan, clearing. Now Konstantinov shot it to the Hawk line. Shepard wheels in the deep slot. He dropped it over to the far corner. Yzerman takes a look in behind. Shepard is bumped off the play by Kuchera. Then Yzerman got it back. He shoots one and a save by Wade. Rebound Yzerman. Wade stop. Oh, and Yzerman nearly whacked it in out of midair. He hit it, knocked it off the crossbar. Now the Wings keep it in. McCrimmon trying to center one. It's stolen away by Noonan. And he takes a look and clears. The penalty is over. Both teams back at full strength.
Best save sequence of the night for Wade. Back-to-back saves on Yzerman. He made the first save, went down, bounced right back up to make the second save, and Yzerman with great hands almost swatted out of midair on his 3rd attempt. Jimmy Wade, who's much heralded career in junior hockey, was considered the best goaltender in junior hockey, made the save and then fell back and then was able to get back into position, kicked up, made the save, and Yzerman very nearly swatted it out of midair, but it just hit the top of the net. Well, Steve Smith hasn't skated for over a week. He still knows how to take the body. He was an aggressive defenseman with Edmonton. Offensively a big plus, and defensively could do it at both ends.
A giveaway to Kevin Miller with a shot, and that's sticked away by Waite. Now Chelios wrestles along the boards. Puck jumps free to the slot. Garpenloff held it in. Then he handed it right to Creighton. Adam Creighton, a long feed right on the money to Thomas. He has the line. Shoots one. And a save by Chevelday, who hangs on. And now Tonelli bumping with Zombo. And there's a gathering around the Detroit goal.
One situation we didn't see much of last year. Adam Creighton likes to stick handle, likes to skate with the puck. In that particular situation, he made a great pass right off the bat. He didn't stick handle at all and moved it quickly to his winger, and it resulted in a good scoring chance, and that's what he has to do more of. John Tonelli signed as a free agent in the offseason by the Blackhawks. I think for the simple fact they got knocked off in the first round of the playoffs. He wanted, Keenan did, somebody that had some experience in winning cups, and he figured in this smaller building with his good work ethic along the corners and boards, he would be a plus for them.
Here's the draw to Larmer, a drive and a save by Cheveldae. Rebound to the wings, and it's cleared to center ice. Well, the good news for the Hawks is that they have on their roster a total of 9 Stanley Cups. The bad news is that nobody's won one here. Tonelli's got 4. Steve Smith's got 2. Greg Gilbert's got 2. Chris Chelios has 1. But they've all won those Stanley Cup rings in other sweaters. We're into the final minute of the opening period. It's in the Hawk zone. And now Chelios gave it to Smith. The right wing boards where Goulet slides it back into the Red Wing zone, but he had not quite reached center, and this is going to be an icing call against Chicago.
Also a different change this year of the clock. There were so many questionable goals last year in the last seconds of hockey games that they've added a 1/10 of a second now. 36.3. The NBA has gone to this clock, and now the NHL, and it's a great move.
They've got that in Boston Garden too, right?
I hope so.
It's amazing how many times there were games in the Garden a year ago that had very controversial endings to periods or games.
That's an old building, you know, moisture and does a lot of different things with the wiring in that building.
Right. Face off to the right of Waite. Here's the draw laying there, and Yzerman came up with it. Yzerman against Noonan in the corner, danced around him, now centered one. Oh, that just hit the skate of Crowder dribbling wide. Now a centering pass, quick shot is blocked out in front of the net. Here's Ray Shepard for Detroit, putting it in behind the net. Big scramble for it there. Now Fedorov with 14 seconds left, trying to slip it out in front. It came back to him. Fedorov takes a look again. Stick handle to the far post, trying to muscle it in. Waite sticks it away. And now the Hawks look to clear, and they do, but Dirk Graham will run out of time as the first period comes to an end. An exciting opening to year number 75 in the NHL. Paul Eisbart scored the first goal of this game for Detroit, assisted by Miller and Marsh at 2:26. Then it was Fedorov for the Wings, a great feed from Shepard to put him in. Shepard and McCrimmon assisting at 3:57 for a quick 2-0 Red Wing lead. But 2 power play goals for Chicago have enabled them to catch up. Goulet from Larmer and Roenick in both sequences. The first goal at 5:31 and the second at 9:48. Both goals coming with the man advantage. 11 shots on goal total for Chicago and 7 for Detroit. At the end of 20 minutes here in Chicago Stadium, it's the Blackhawks 2 and the Red Wings 2.
We'll try to combine some comedy and some politics. Yes, the National Hockey League celebrates its 75th anniversary. Jim Belushi joins us. We'll return to Chicago Stadium following these messages.
You know, didn't want to cause any trouble, but
A little bit like the old Saturday night slapstick.
slapstick. Oh, it was a real punch. What do you mean?
Jim, this honor of being the celebrity captain of the Blackhawks,
Yeah.
how did that come about?
Well, last year I shot a movie in town in Chicago called Curly Sue, and I was here for 6-7 months, and I came to the games a lot. The Wirtzes were very nice and had me as a guest, and they asked me to be the honorary captain this year, and I said it was an honor, and I'd be glad to.
I understand it was between you and Big Bird?
Well, Mr. Rogers is the honorary captain for who? The
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. So it was between me and Big Bird here, and they picked me, I guess. I checked Big Bird, broke his legs, and they let me have it.
Jim, are there any other great assignments coming up now as part of this job?
Yeah, I'm going to be the goalie soon if they don't get Eddie. I'm going to be in there.
What about this Blackhawk team? I know you started to come to a few games.
It's going to be a good year.
Then all of a sudden, John Candy had you out here night after night, huh?
Yeah, John Candy was shooting the film here last year also, so Candy and I were coming a lot last year. Actually, John is the honorary captain for the Kings, and he wants to meet me on center ice, John. And ever since we've both been chosen, we've been arguing on the phone a little bit, you know. But we get along all right.
Well, I can tell that you're really into this game, into this sport.
This was close, huh?
Didn't take you long to get hooked on hockey, huh?
Oh, no. It's the most exciting sport. I mean, football and hockey, I think, are the most exciting games to watch. But hockey especially. On television or in the stadium, it's the most exciting, the fastest, the most adrenaline rush sport there is, you know, and the National Hockey League should go on for another 75 years.
Oh, at least. Jim, good to see you. Thanks for dropping by. Congratulations on being the celebrity captain of the Chicago Blackhawks.
It's going to be a fun year.
2-2 is our score. Detroit's got the first two. The Blackhawks come back with two of their own. We'll have more from Chicago in a moment. The Blackhawks and the Red Wings joined the league in 1926, and you're looking at the lineup card from a game played here in Chicago in 1928. Nobody cared about the first names, as you see, just last names. Little difference. Color printing, the whole bit. That's tonight's program between the Red Wings and the Blackhawks, and it's tied 2-2 at the end of one period. I mentioned the year 1917, this the diamond anniversary. Congratulatory messages have come in from far and wide, including this message from the White House in Washington, D.C.
Personally, and on behalf of the millions of hockey fans throughout the United States, I want to congratulate the National Hockey League on its diamond anniversary season. It was the great one, Wayne Gretzky, who said, "I skate to where the puck is going, not where it has been." Well, the National Hockey League has been entertaining fans now for 75 years, and where it's going, I'm convinced, is a new plateau of popularity. The NHL has grown dramatically over the last 25 years, and now embraces 14 American cities. And what's more, the number of U.S.-born players in the league has increased. We are proud to be such a talent source for the greatest hockey league in the world. All Americans delight in our long-standing cultural, diplomatic, and sporting ties with our neighbor to the north. Hockey was born in Canada. The NHL was founded there in 1917, and we thank it for exporting this wonderful game and for the place hockey holds in the sports hearts of America. Congratulations and best wishes. Happy birthday to the NHL.
Yes, from San Jose on the to the New York Islanders on the East Coast. And we celebrate 75 years. Pat and Dale, right after this. First two goals tonight. The Blackhawks, the league's best last season, came back with the power play, making it a 2-2 tie at the end of one period. With their thoughts of the period and the analysis, Pat Foley and Dale Talon.
Thank you, Jiggs, and it didn't take long for the Red Wings to get on the board in this game. Before the game was 4 minutes old, Detroit had struck twice, but the Blackhawks showing an ability to rebound, especially on the special teams. But here's the first goal at the 2:26 mark.
One of the new Red Wings, Miller's shot deflects off a leg and out the inside of Waite's pad. He looks to his left. Eisbart seemed to be the only guy on the ice who knew where the puck was, and he put the backhander in. That was early at 2:26, and the Red Wings dented the net first, made it 1-0 from Miller and Marsh. And then not too much later at 3:57, a great pass from Shepard right on the money to the streaking Fedorov. Fedorov snaps the wrist shot. Waite got a piece of it, but not enough of it, and it trickled into the net. And that gave the Red Wings a 2-0 lead at 3:57. The Red Wings, on the power, short-handed. And last year they struggled. Roenick, Delarmer, Goulet goes to the net quickly, waits, and then tucks it past Chevalier. That made it 2-1, a power play goal for Goulet. Michel Goulet didn't waste his time on the power play. A bank pass to Roenick, Delarmer, bang, Goulet in the net. He had the puck twice for maybe a second. He scored 2 goals on the power play and very nearly scored shorthanded. So special teams the reason why the Hawks are in this one.
And the Blackhawks and the Red Wings locked up in a 2-2 game after 20 minutes, and I have a lot of respect for my elders. Let's go back downstairs to Mr. McDonald.
Somehow I knew that was coming, and no, I did not. I repeat, did not televised the first game played in this league 75 years ago. More from Chicago Stadium right after these matches.
Handsome-looking guy in the middle being Jim Belushi, the honorary captain of the Chicago Blackhawks. You ever much of a hockey player? I know you grew up around here.
No, I didn't play hockey at all, actually. I just kind of watched it.
Only I see.
I was in the theater, you know.
Right?
I was in the theater at the time, you know. I was a fairy. They considered me as a fairy because I was in the theater.
Well, I won't sit too close to then.
Ah, come on.
I know you're in that movie Red Heat a couple of years ago. Is it true what you just told me that Schwarzenegger's a wimp?
Yeah, he's a fairy too, because we're both fairies, because we're into creative arts. You know?
Second period underway as the draw is controlled by the Wings now. Fedorov has the Hawk line. Chelios muscles him into the corner, and now it's whacked loose into the slot. Bouncing puck finally corralled by the Red Wings. Cleared into the corner. Now it's held in by Racine for Detroit. And he got it to Fedorov. A wrist shot and a save by Waite, and he gave no rebound. What were you just talking about a while ago, that if things don't go well, you're going to be the goalie for the Chicago?
Yeah, I'm going to be, if they don't sign Eddie, I'm going to be in there. I'll be there.
Looks like maybe you did play goal, though, for a while. Did you use a mask or not?
No, these scars on my face were from fist fights. They weren't in hockey games. They were between me and the other fairies in the...
That'd be a good name for an expansion team.
Yeah, the fairies. Lucy's fairies.
Now they play at center ice with Chelios. Rolling it into the Red Wing zone. Taken by Zombo. He looks to clear, but now the puck does wind up at center on the stick of Goulet, who's got both Blackhawk goals. He puts Larmer back in there. In on Zombo shooting. And he fired it wide. Now Chelios, good move to keep it in. On it to Roenick, another one. Easy now, you're hard, Jimmy.
I'm sorry. I know, that's why I like this game. You know, it's it really takes you out of your head. You get to, wow, there's a man for you, Chelios.
Isn't he great? He's a leader on and off the ice too.
Yeah.
He's just a real tough guy.
He's a tough guy. I checked him though earlier. You know,
I saw that at
I
the
could have
opening
knocked
of the
him out.
show.
Could have knocked him out, but I didn't. I chose not to, because that's the kind of man I am.
I know you didn't want to get that nice suit. You know what time you have to have it back. Did you steal that from which movie? Did you steal that suit from?
This one I paid for.
I don't believe it.
I paid for it. But I did get a discount on it.
What do you think of these uniforms?
Oh, beautiful. I think the National Hockey League has some of the best logos, and the Chicago Blackhawks in particular. That Indian, the merchandising they have is better than the NFL.
Best uniform in sports, I think.
I think so.
Here's the play in the Red Wing zone, and Sean Burr able to clear it to center. Here's Probert. He got around Marchman over the line. Bob Probert has a man coming. Gallant put it across. Here's a shot and a save by Wade. He moved well to his left to stop that. And now a penalty is going to be called as the Hawks were heading up ice. Ranasek Kuchera yanked down Gerard Gallant. Detroit to the power play, trying to break a 2-2 tie.
Year with the Hawks, Czech defenseman knocked down Gerard Gallant in front of the Hawk net while the play was in the corner. The Red Wings will get their third straight power play. The Hawks had 3 in a row to start the first period. Kuchera knocks down Gallant in his attempt to get to a puck that was shot towards Waite. Now the Red Wings have a chance to take the lead under a third power play. Their first 2 power plays, they had nothing at all going on.
Now the Wings with control with the extra man. Here's Yzerman on the near board. Steve Yzerman takes a look, slipped it over to the deep slot, then got it back. Yzerman now moves it back to the far point. Held in by Lidstrom. Nicholas Lidstrom to the far board. Fedorov put it in behind that. He missed Shepard. Now it's held in by Racine. Moves it to the line. Yzerman to Lidstrom. A long shot and a blocker save by Waite. Rebound thrown out to center ice by Jeremy Roenick.
A couple of seasons ago, that would have been a penalty. You're not allowed to close your hand on the puck, and he got away with one there.
Racine feeding Fedorov on the left side. He steps over the Hawk line. Graham tied him up on the boards, and he cleared it away back into the Detroit zone. Lidstrom gave it to Racine with a minute left on the Red Wing power play. Racine shattered his stick as he dumped it in. Keith Brown is back, circled right into a Detroit player and failed to get it out. Now he got help from Graham. Battles along the boards, and he muscled it back into the Red Wing zone.
Sometimes you wish the player would have eyes in the back of his head, because that time Brown went right back into the traffic. I don't think he realized it was open on this side.
Back into the Hog zone it goes. Brian Noonan out there as a penalty killer. Passing it to himself off the boards. Got there, and he cleared it out to center ice with just half a minute left. Now the Detroit power play. Lead pass, missing connection with Kevin Miller. Deep into the Hawk zone it goes. Brown got knocked down in the corner. Wings dig it out of there. Here's a stop shot and a save by Waite. Jimmy Carson with a wraparound, and Jimmy Waite said no.
Oh, I don't know how Wade got the glove on. It looked like it went under his glove. It was along the ice, it seemed. A quick turnaround by the very dangerous Jimmy Carson, and it went right into Jimmy Wade's glove. Wade moves from the left post back to the right post. The quick pass from Miller to Carson. Carson in behind the net, turns, tries to stuff it, and bang, right into the glove hand. Great reflex save by Jimmy Wade. Like you playing shortstop.
Yeah, that was, look at that. That was beautiful.
That's Jim Belushi you're hearing, the honorary captain of the Chicago Blackhawks. Nobody's pulling for the Hawks more than Belushi tonight, because if Mike Keenan's track records holds true, if they lose this game, you're out.
Oh, no, dumbass. But, you know, if they win the Stanley Cup, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there for the team's photo.
I bet you're going to bully that Fred Rogers around.
Oh, Mr. Rogers, huh?
Slap that boy silly.
Yeah.
All right, the Wings back in their own end, but the Chicago penalty expires. Both teams back at full strength. Adam Creighton with a steal. Put it back in the Red Wing goal. Now Crowder bangs away on the far side, failed to clear it. And Cheveldae swings it to the near board where Probert couldn't get it out either. Now Tonelli, center one, Creighton shooting, and a save by Cheveldae. Creighton trying to center one, deflected, back into the corner. Now Thomas is there on his backhand to the line. Chelios a drive, and that didn't get through. Held into the corner by Thomas. Creighton in there, took a big hit from Probert. Chelios dug it out. He got it to Marchment. The drive didn't get to the net. Chelios now, his shot missed the target. And the Wings scrambling in their own end again, failed to clear it. Here's Tonelli to the corner. Great shift by Tonelli, Thomas, and Creighton here. Now Marchment keeping it in. Back into the corner it goes. And a scuffle at center ice. Probert wheels on Marchment. Marchment got the right hand loose. Probert has not dropped his gloves. And the Hawks are going to, I'm sure, be short-handed after this. But Brian Marchment showing no fear of the reigning heavyweight champion in the NHL, Bob Probert.
He's the reigning heavyweight champion.
Yes, he is.
There's not even a contender that's close. The only contender is on the Red Wing team, and that's Crowder, who played with New Jersey last year.
Yeah.
So they've got probably the two top guys in that department in the league.
Really?
This guy's fearless and the toughest guy I've ever seen in the history of the game.
This year, number 24?
Yeah, Bob Probert. I think you can handle him, but you
Well,
might be the other guy.
I could. I could. I think after the game, I'm going to take care of him anyway. Slap around our players. Yeah, as a captain, I believe this kind of activity should cease. Wait till after the game. I will single-handedly take care of them. And if they hurt me.
A little more scuffling at center ice, and Chris Chelios looks like he's going to get a penalty as well. Gary Frazier trying to clamp down on a potentially volatile situation, and now Primo is heading off as well. So all sorts of penalties to be handed out here by referee Frazier. And we'll give you the decision here in just a moment. 4.5 minutes gone by in the second period. The Hawks and Wings tied at 2.
I think it's the toughest one on the team is Keenan. I wouldn't want to run into that guy.
Well, the penalties, the Blackhawks will be shorthanded for the 4th straight time. Marchment gets the additional 2. 4 minutes for roughing. Probert gets 2 for roughing. It looked like Probert was trying to force Marchment into an altercation. And then when Marchment came off the boards, throwing a couple of punches, Probert just backed off. And Chelios and Primo will get offsetting unsportsmanlike penalties at 4:24. So once again, the Blackhawk penalty killing call to come on and shut down the Detroit power play. The power play that really has been powerless.
Dale, I believe, let's check on this. I think there have been misconducts handed out as well, and I would suspect it might be to Primo and Chelios. If that's the case, that's a major loss, especially for the Chicago team, which relies so much on number 7.
Well, that's one thing that Chelios last year got himself into a lot of trouble with that type of situation. He's so emotional that sometimes he gets carried away with the officials, and he does get into those misconduct type situations. They need him more on the ice than they do in the box. He's a great player, and he needs to stay cool in those situations.
Got to stay cool the way Belushi does when that red light goes on.
Yeah, you know. You got to stay cool. You got to be cool.
Hey, what's you got anything going right now? What's the next movie project?
I got a movie coming out at the end of October called Curly Sue. And I'm gonna.
Are you playing Curly Sue?
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's a little girl. It's about me and a little girl. She's Curly Sue. She's so cute.
comedy or?
Yeah, comedy, family, drama.
Something new for you, huh?
Actually, the movie I'm going to is something new. It's a murder mystery suspense thriller.
Now the Wings trying with a wraparound on the power play, but Yzerman had it roll off the end of his stick, and the Hawks able to clear it.
I think one of the reasons, Pat, for Detroit's failure on the power play, especially last year, and I can see tonight, too many guys trying to do too much on their own. Probert and Fedorov especially, or I should say Yzerman and Fedorov trying to do too much, trying to be too perfect on it.
All right, now Fedorov works up the left side, weaving to center. Fedorov has the Hawk line, dropped it back. Near point is Racine. Yves Racine put it to the deep slot. Lidstrom down to the far side. Fedorov with a long shot, and I'm not sure how he thought he was going to get that through to the net. He waited forever, and Noonan had an easy time blocking it.
These guys are too fancy. They're trying to be perfect on the power play, as I mentioned. Instead of moving it, making a shot, getting it back, crowding the front of the net, they're not getting any shots from their point men at all.
So you're saying they're trying too hard?
Well, not trying too hard. They're trying to make the right, perfect pass, trying to set up for one sure shot, and it's not working. And sometimes when you're not getting that one shot, you got to take a bunch of shots and maybe open things up a bit. Right. Crowd the front of the net, get a rebound, maybe get a lucky goal to turn things around.
Right. Pick up the whole pace of it.
Exactly. Move it quicker, shoot it more often.
Yeah. I've heard that phrase.
Here's the draw. Keith Brown trying to get it out, but Racine did well to keep it in. Now along the board, Shepard, or I should say Miller, let it roll loose. Now Racine keeping it in, moved it to the deep slot. Lidstrom with a bouncing puck, able to keep it in there. Now it bounces free from Brown to Graham, and he cleared it to center. Half a minute is left on the wing power play. Racine gets the line. Larmer stripped it. Back come the Hawks. Graham has the line to Larmer. The return pass, good defensive play by the Wings as Larmer's return pass. And now we're going to have a penalty coming up, I believe, against Detroit. That'll take care of the 15 seconds for the Red Wing power play, and now the Hawks will have an extra man in a short period of time.
15 seconds.
Racine with a bit of a cheap shot against Larmer, who had made the pass, had it deflect up in the air, and he was looking at the puck up in the air, relaxed a bit, and Racine drove him into the boards. Could be a boarding penalty on Racine.
20 shorthanded goals for the Blackhawks a year ago, and if there's any two better forecheckers shorthanded than these two, Larmer and Graham, I'd like to have a look at it.
Look at that.
That's a good call by Fraser. They really clamped down on that last year with guys getting hit from behind, just a step away from the board.
Yeah, but you know, also I don't understand why they pick on Larmer. I mean, I know why they hit him, but they should leave him. You should see the.
Well, if you leave him alone, he's going to score 200 points.
Yeah.
So that's why they pick him.
I know.
But you're the captain of the
I'm
Hawks.
the captain. You leave Ronick and Larmer alone. You know.
There's no room for fairies on the ice.
No fairies here. No actors here either.
Penalty's over to Chelios. Power play for Chicago. Here's Gachera into the corner.
Yes!
Centered one. That's too far for Ronick and the Wings. Clear it the other way. Steve Smith. Dale, I think
he's playing,
impressed by this fella after not playing for 10 days. He does not look like he's very rusty at all.
It's like riding a bicycle.
A giveaway by Chelios, and then the centering pass just missed connecting with Burr. And now the Hawks start back. Michel Goulet drives it in there. And Cheveldae going to clear it himself the length of the ice.
He's going to be sore.
Okay.
Now here's a Red Wing steal as Konstantinov picked it off and cleared it ahead, but not very far. Larmer got to it, then he was stopped. And it's shot back behind the Hawk net. Now it's the Chicago power play having trouble getting on track. Chelios. Cross ice off the skate of Noonan, and Conroy will have to dump it in. The Wings have Konstantinov back with time and room, and he clears.
These are great seats. Okay. Yeah, this is really a great place to watch a game.
And the best building in the league, too.
Yeah.
Best building in the world.
They're going to start probably building next year, the new one. Huh?
That's what they say, and I hope they take their time.
Yeah, it's a beautiful stadium.
Now bouncing puck in the Red Wing zone, taken by McCrimmon, who wastes a little time before clearing, and that'll do it for the Chicago power play. Both teams are now back at full strength. Brad March, pass off a stick deflecting into the crowd. Jim Belushi, honorary captain of the Hawks, thanks a lot for stopping by. And
thank you.
We hope you enjoy your role. Let's pause now for a regional break. The Hawks and the Wings tied at 2.
Is secure for another couple of weeks anyway. Belushi's a little rusty in this game.
Nice fella, though. He sure is excited about this honorary captaincy.
He's a novice, like he's just a new fan. He's a Cubs fan. I know a diehard Cubs and Bears fan. Just now he's a real hockey fan.
Hey, that's what happens when you have a chance to come out and see this great sport. It's the most electrifying sport in the world. Here's a shot to save by Wade. Rebound. Jimmy Wade! What a terrific rebound save as the Wings' Ray Shepherd looked to have him at his mercy. He couldn't lift it, and Wade keeps the game tied.
Ray Shepherd, who started his career with Buffalo, had a great rookie year. Shepherd did with 38 goals, and then matched it with 22 his second year, and then slumped dramatically, and then had a good year with the Rangers. But he snapped the wrist shot, toe save, good reflex by Wade, kicking to his right. Good move by Shepherd, the quick snapshot, the toe save, the rebound back to Shepherd. He kicks it to his backhand, thought he had scored, and somehow Wade, reaching back, got the big stick on it with the blocker hand. So Jimmy Wade has come up with 3 great saves here in this second period. 1 on Carson and those 2 on Shepherd. You said Shepherd had 2 really good first years, 38 goals as a rookie, 22 his next year, and then slumped. Got sent to the minors, got traded to the Rangers. Last year he had 24 with the Rangers and was let go and signed, picked up, and he's looked real good on that line with Yzerman.
Not just traded to the Rangers, sold to the Rangers for $1. And the Wings glad to have him now, hoping he can show the offensive form he had a few years ago. Steve Thomas into the offensive zone, had it knocked off his stick, and now Probert starts the Red Wings back. Probert on right wing over the line, trying to center one, it hits the leg. Back to center, Probert has it again. He got help from Jimmy Carson. Now Lemieux and Probert have something going, and Lemieux just got speared right in the gut. Here comes Stu Grimson to challenge Probert, and Probert and Grimson are slugging a big left by Probert, and now he and Grimson are standing toe-to-toe, and then Probert looked like he got in a big right hand. But in that sequence at center ice, Lemieux collided with Probert. They exchanged shoves, and then Probert speared him right in the gut. And I think it went undetected by the official.
I don't know how it went undetected. Fraser was looking at them. First the high stick into the face, then the spear, and then Grimson came over with Lemieux looking like he was in trouble. Grimson known for his role as an enforcer, and that's what he's out there. Lemieux gets high stick first, then he gets jabbed in the inside of the leg, and he's limping and in trouble, and he wanted to get a Lemieux, and then Grimson came, and they both flailed away, and then a couple of punches thrown by Probert, and Grimson went down. I think his legs buckled on him, not because of a punch, but just off balance.
The Wings are going to go to the power play here halfway through the second. It's 2-2.
Well, Grimson, that's the right call. Grimson did instigate, so he gets that 2 and 5. But what happened was that Probert got away with a high stick and a spear. And no penalty called, and it's always the way. The guy that gets caught, the retaliatory penalty always results in the penalty, and the power play situation develops for the Red Wings once again. And this will be their 5th of the night and 3rd of this period.
All the scoring in this game came in the first half of the first period. Detroit got their 2 goals in the first 4 minutes of the game. And 2 Goulet power play strikes for Chicago enabled them to catch the Red Wings.
Well, the Blackhawks in the first 5 minutes were really tight. They were tighter than a G-string on a sumo wrestler.
Here's Racine flipping it into the corner. Chelios after it there. Got tangled by 2 Detroit players, and Yzerman came up with it to Racine. Side of the net. Shepherd rolled it right through the goal crease. Here's Graham after it against Shepherd in the corner. Now the Wings able to gain control. Yzerman chipped it to Fedorov, back to the far point. Lidstrom sends it up the boards. It hits a leg. Stolen away by the Hawks and Steve Smith. Scooped it to center ice. Shepard quickly back over the line. Feathered one in front. Bouncing puck. Cleared back to the near side. Larmer came up with it. He gave it to Chelios. And Chris Chelios clears it down all the way.
Great play once again. Steve Larmer in traffic, keeps his cool, knows his whereabouts, makes the right play, and they're able to clear.
Now Yzerman over the line on Marchment, trying to go wide. Marchment forced him to the corner, now to the line. Racine kept it in. Got it back to the near side where Yzerman feeds Racine over to the far side. A shot off the end boards. Yzerman got tied up nicely by Marchment. Now the Wings gain control. Here is Racine keeping it in. To the near side, a quick shot and a save by Waite as that shot came for the stick of Shepard. Shepard now battles the near side. He tries to knock it away from Marchment, getting help from Eisbart. Now a long shot from Racine going wide, and it's held in by Lidstrom. To Yzerman behind the net. He takes a look, has Racine coming in, gave it to him. The shot and a save by Waite. Rebound to Shepard. Ray Shepard had his pass stolen, and the Hawks clear. Good steal and clear by Brian Noonan. Now just a couple of seconds left on the Detroit power play as Hronek rather steals one at center and dumps it in there, and both teams are now back at full strength. Now in the Red Wing zone, Lemieux had it knocked off his stick. Here comes Detroit. Sean Burr gets the line, left it, and offside on the play for the Red Wings. Just over 8 minutes left in period 2. It's 2-2.
Visiting Boston Garden, and the Boston Bruins have a 4-3 lead over the Rangers. That game in the third period.
Now Chelios chases back of his own net. Quick turn, ran into Garpenloff. But the puck came free to the near side, and Larmer got run over from behind by Konstantinov. Then a shot goes off a stick and up over the glass and into the crowd. Let's take 10 seconds here for stations to identify themselves.
75 years of excitement. The fastest game in the world, the National Hockey League. Exclusively on Sports Channel America.
Good hit from behind by Konstantinov. He got away with that, a charging penalty, and Jeremy Hronek was almost put through the end boards by Sean Burr, but he saw him at the last second, and Burr got all boards and no Hronek. Sean Burr, who scored 3 goals in the 8-game series last year, led the Detroit team in scoring against the Blackhawks. Known as a solid defensive centerman and forward. Scored 20 goals as well, so he had a pretty solid year.
The race is on into the Red Wing zone. However, it's an offside play. Thomas ruled to be offside at center ice. We mentioned that last season these teams had a great season series. The Hawks had 4 wins. The Wings had 3. And there was 1 tie. But amazingly, there was no Detroit player that scored more than 2 goals against Chicago.
Sean Burr, I think, had 3 goals in the series.
Well, if he did, he had 1 more than any of my stats show. Nobody scored more than 2 goals for Detroit against Chicago last year. Steve Yzerman had 9 points in the 8 games against the Blackhawks, and Jimmy Carson had 7. 2 goals was the most that any of the Detroit players were able to score against Chicago.
One book says 2, one book says 3.
Now here's the play, and the Hawks on a shot deflecting just off the skate, fairly wide of the far post. A centering pass from Garpenloff hit a leg. He's got it again. Put it to the far side. Zombo centered, but it's picked off by John Tonelli, clearing it ahead. Crate moved it over the line to Thomas, who's forced to turn, and Konstantinov then knocked him down. Garpenloff the other way. Over the line, a shot and a save by Waite, and he covers before he could give a rebound, and Kevin Miller's drive is snuffed out.
The danger of backing in. If you back in and give up the blue line, as the Hawk defense did there, if that puck gets through, the goaltender doesn't pick it up till it's well on its way, but Waite was in good position. Made the save with the body. The puck floated up in the air after he made the original save, located it, and then froze it. Jimmy Waite seems to be more confident with every minute. He looked a little bit shaky in the early going. He's made some terrific saves in the second period.
Making only his 17th appearance ever in the National Hockey League, 22-year-old Jimmy Waite. But the first game he ever played for the Blackhawks in the NHL was the season opener 3 years ago. And he played very well in a 2-2 tie against the Rangers. Well, he's not a stranger to opening night, but really hoping to take the bull by the horns with the holdout of last year's star Belfour, and Waite with a chance to grab the #1 position in the Hawk nets this year. Here's Primo, a nice outlet to Fedorov. He races in over the line, and he mishandled Chelios. Able to take it away and clear to the neutral zone. Now Steve Smith starts the Hawks back to Chelios. Left wing pass off the stick of Mike Peluso. Sails over the glass and into the crowd. Getting to the late part of the second period.
An array of fans here tonight. Those people might have been here when they first put those jerseys on. Turning back the clock, I knew my suit would come back into style.
Now here come the wings. Jimmy Carson peels off, trying to flip it into the slot. Picked up by Thomas. Then he lost the handle, and a centering pass from Burr deflects to the line. Zombo couldn't get there. Gallant chipped it back into Chicago ice. Steve Smith fought off a hit and held the puck. And the left wing boards Lemieux. Couldn't get it out. Gallant at the line. Put it back into the corner. There's going to be a penalty coming up. A Chicago player knocked down by Rick Zombo. This may be a major as Kerry Fraser has a look to see if blood was drawn. We'll tell you in a moment. It's 2-2.
Stick up and clip the right eye of Greg Gilbert. Did not draw blood, so it's only a 2-minute penalty. Puck swatted in by Gallant. Gallant took exception to the hit and clipped him on the side of the head deliberately. But yet it's only a 2-minute penalty because there's no blood drawn. So the Blackhawks go back to the power play. They're 5th of the night. They have their 2 goals on the power play. They're 2 for 4.
Chris Chelios and Michel Goulet. He banks it in there, hoping for Roenick, who gets there. And Roenick trying to center one. Bouncing into the slot. McCrimmon came up with it for Detroit. Sends it to the near board, and the Wings able to clear it down.
Roenick got there in time. The puck was bouncing, but he beat Shovelday to it. Tried to put it back out front. Goulet would have had an empty net opportunity, but he couldn't find the handle.
Here's Goulet streaking up the left side. Centered one. Through to the near corner. Chelios. In behind to Goulet. Back to Chelios on the near side. It hopped away from him. But it's held in there by Larmer. His shot is blocked by March. Now taken by Roenick on the far side. Leaving it in the corner. Goulet and March come together. Now McCrimmon. Banked it to the near side, and the Wings clear it down all the way. A minute to go on the Hawk power play as Chelios looks for Noonan, chipped it ahead to Thomas, who's into the offensive zone. The trailer is Chelios. A shot is deflected wide. Now Karam's back to the line, and it's knocked free to center ice. There's Chelios. Giving ground in his own end. And now Graham comes away. Dumping it in. Shovelday dumps it out. Ryan Noonan throws it back into the Detroit zone. Zombo back. Sends it up the boards. Fedorov couldn't get it out. A long shot from Kuchera sailed wide. Now Graham able to keep it in. And Thomas in the corner. Looking for Noonan. Moves it back to the line. Marchment. Whose shot is blocked. Now the lead for Fedorov. He's got a break. Sergei Fedorov a breakaway and on Wade. Jimmy Wade made the save. And now the Wings with their penalty expiring at full and equal strength. Gallant wrestles along the boards. And it's held there long enough for the whistle. And Jimmy Wade keeps this game tied with a big stop.
First guy over to congratulate him was Marchment. Marchment, who had the shot deflect at the blue line. You got to make sure you get it through. Fedorov just pulled away from him. Shot did not get through. It was deflected by Fedorov. Defenseman picked it up, sprung Fedorov onside. Bouncing puck, took a look. Waite went down in butterfly style, got a leg on it, and then Marchment came to clear the rebound. Some terrific goaltending by Jimmy Waite. Hawks have had one shot on Cheveldae, and that's it for the period. And they've had 2 power plays. But Jimmy Waite the difference in this period. Special teams in the first period for the Blackhawks, now goaltending. He made a great save on Carson, 2 of them on Shepard, and that last one on Fedorov.
Now the draw taken by Lindstrom, a long shot deflecting wide. Going in behind, Yzerman got sandwiched. Now Peluso dug it loose to Lemieux. Austin Lemieux got knocked down, but Conroy dumps it into the Detroit zone. Into the near corner it goes, and Fedorov captures for Detroit. There to center. Yzerman leaves it there for Lindstrom with a long shot. Wait, a good stop as Brown was going to get the try for the shot block, but missed it. And Waite didn't have a great look until the last second or two, but still made the save. Peluso leading it ahead. Here's Creighton over the line, or Tonelli rather, shooting, and a save by Cheveldae. Rebound centered by Tonelli, but it's picked off, and the Wings move 3-on-3. Crowder to the line, left it there for Yzerman. Too well covered by Chelios. And on the counterattack, Creighton gets the line, looking for Chelios, but put the pass well behind him. There's going to be a Hawk penalty. Here's Galana's shot. Wait, the save. Rebound to Gilbert, and Detroit will head back to the power play here.
I think John Tonelli took a whack at a Detroit player as the puck was going the other way. He's going to get called for tripping, but he could have very easily had a slashing penalty. But Tonelli was quarterbacking on that odd man break for the Blackhawks. He had Creighton make the pass back on his backhand to Chelios coming late, but he missed Chelios. The Red Wings picked it off for countering the Tonelli slashed and hacked down the Red Wing player. So another power play for Detroit at 17:37 of period number 2. The Hawks have to be careful because they've been outplayed in this second period. They have now 2 shots on goal. The Red Wings have had 13, and 4 or 5 of them have been quality chances.
Now the draw to the Wings, and a pass on the far point from Konstantinov was blocked. Winds up back in Detroit territory on the stick of Racine. Racine to Konstantinov. Now a long feed to Carson at center. Jimmy Carson gets the Hawk line, stopping in the near board, rolled into the corner. Smith after it there, got knocked down, but rolled it free, and now it's taken by Gilbert to center. Greg Gilbert trying a long shot that deflects wide. And with just under 2 minutes to go in the second period, Racine tries to get the Red Wings on track. This pass is picked off though, and Konstantinov now starts it away to Racine. Clearing it too far at center for Carson, and Jimmy Waite plays it himself back to the center ice area. A minute is left on the Detroit power play. Racine into the Chicago end. Left it for Carson along the board. Back to Racine on the near side. Moved into the corner, then a centering pass hit the backside of Conroy and laid just outside the crease, and Jimmy Waite goes down to cover.
Also, Jimmy Waite used the stick to deflect the pass. It hit Conroy in the back of the leg, and alertly Waite pounced on the puck to his left with 50 seconds remaining on the power play and 1:13 to go in the second period. Waite deflected right off the back of Conroy into the crease, and alertly gets his glove on it.
Jimmy Waite, with the departure of Greg Millen from the Chicago organization, got a chance to switch his number, wearing number 29, the number of his boyhood hero. Growing up in the Montreal area, Kent Dryden, not a bad fella to emulate.
Does he have a college degree as well?
Well, he speaks 4 languages. Good English, bad English, good French, and bad French.
He's really improved his English, though.
Yes, he has.
He can order anything else other than ham and eggs now.
Here come the Wings now. Half a minute to go on their power play. Shepard rolled it in there deep. Brown hammers it around the boards and out. Another thing about Wade, he really made an effort to beef up during the offseason. Last several years, he'd come to camp at about he was listed at 160 pounds or so, and I think some of that was with his equipment on. But he added about 15 pounds with some weight training and an effort to improve his stamina. And he's got the chance at the start of this year to become the top goaltender for this team. Both teams back at full strength as the second period comes to an end. Big story in this period is wearing the big leg pads in the Chicago net.
Jimmy Waite with some terrific goaltending. The Hawks with only 2 shots on goal. Shovelday with no work at all. But Jimmy Waite made a great save on Carson, 2 of them on Shepard, and a breakaway stop of the very dangerous Fedorov.
No scoring in the period. And the Red Wings with 13 shots on goal, as Dale mentioned, a high percentage of them quality shots. The Blackhawks a meager 2 shots, even though they had a couple of power plays in that period. 20-11. Detroit has outshot Chicago through 40 minutes of play. But after 2 periods in the season opener for the 91-92 campaign, it's Detroit 2 and Chicago 2. Jiggs McDonald, what's coming up here in the second intermission?
Well, Pat, we're going to talk to a man who played 22 consecutive seasons for the Blackhawks, retired as the 4th leading goal scorer in the history of the league, Stan Mikita. We'll also get an update on John Tonelli's presence with the Blackhawks. Our intermission coming up in a moment. Ambassadors. They couldn't have picked a better one than the former Blackhawk great, Stan Mikita. 22 seasons here. And the jersey number 21 retired following the 1980 season. As you see, it began in 1958-59 season. Doesn't look a day older than when he first put on the original Blackhawk jerseys. Well, no, it wasn't 75 years ago. A pleasure to see you, Stanley.
Well, thank you, Jiggs. Always nice to see you. It is not true that I wore that jersey originally. Before we go any further, I do have one thing to say. The answer is Darcy Rhoda.
There are so many leading questions that come to that. I'll get to the question later, although I guess the Blackhawks probably could have used him and his talents in that second period. Not much going for the Chicago team.
Well, I think they could have used a little bit of something. I'm not sure what. They look a little tight out there. Maybe it's the new sweaters that they're not used to. And I'm not sure how many times they have to wear them, but I think if they can squeak this one out, they'll enjoy those sweaters. They are good looking.
They really are. Stan, your memories of those great years here, the scooter line in particular, with Moans on the left and Warham on the right.
Well, it was. I like to think of it as a different game than it's being played in the NHL right now. We used to pass the puck a lot more across the blue line instead of shooting the puck in and chasing it and bowling over the person that got it in the corner. We would try to maneuver and make the plays. You saw a couple of good plays earlier in the first period. Steve Larmer, to me, is one of the greatest hockey players I've ever seen, and he set up the 2 Goulet goals. It was fantastic.
Quickly, other than being an ambassador this season, what is Stan Mikita doing?
Stan Mikita is trying to make a living in the Chicago area. I'm in the plastics business, injection molding and so on, manufacturer's rep. I have a partner by the name of Glenn Scove, who was a former teammate of mine.
And a new partner, Darcy Rhoda. What was that all about?
Well, we were trying to figure out. Apparently, you guys just signed a new contract this afternoon with the national TV, with Sports Channel, and I think that's fantastic. And Darcy Rhoda apparently had something to do with it. I think he sharpened the pencils or something like that.
Stan, thanks for the visit. Always good to see you. Thanks for so many wonderful memories over those 22 seasons here with the Blackhawks. The Blackhawks and the Detroit Red Wings are tied 2-2. We're at the end of the second period. More from Chicago Stadium right after this. The Red Wings, too. The Chicago Blackhawks had numerous player moves in the offseason, blockbuster trades that received front-page headlines. One acquisition, though, that Mike Keenan made without much fanfare was gaining the services of left-wing John Tonelli. Jim Blaney of Sports Channel Chicago reports on one of the newest Blackhawks.
This summer, the Blackhawks bolstered their forward line by acquiring left-wing John Tonelli. His 4th Stanley Cup championships with the New York Islanders brings a wealth of experience to the Blackhawks.
It's funny, I've learned a lot through the years, especially the amount of years that I've played in the league, and you learn something new every day. Some things you expect to see and some things you don't, and you have to deal with it.
Tonelli has some Blackhawk connections. He was at one time traded for current Hawk defenseman Steve Conroy when Steve was with the Calgary Flames.
Well, our paths have crossed a couple times. In 1986, right at the trade deadline, I was traded along with another kid named Richie Crom from Calgary to the New York Islanders. And it was the day that we were to play the New York Islanders. So basically what they did was they just wheeled our stuff from the Calgary room down to the New York Islanders dressing room. And we went out for pregame skate around 9:30. And the Flames were to go on after us, and a bunch of the guys were coming in getting ready for the skate, and they saw Richie and I both on the ice, and they couldn't figure it out.
When Tonelli played for the Islanders, he played with now Chicago winger Greg Gilbert and Blackhawk scout Wayne Sutter.
Johnny's going to bring a lot of experience to this team. He's an older guy that some people say, why did you sign an older player? Because you want to bring your average age down on the team. Johnny's going to give you 100% every night, at least 100%. That's a bad night if that's all you get out of John Tonelli.
100% makes Tonelli a Mike Keenan type of player.
He likes to win, and that's what I want to be a part of. And he expects discipline and a lot of hard work, and for me, that's what I like to do, and that's the way I contribute to the hockey team.
The addition of John Tonelli to the lineup certainly solidifies the left side for Chicago.
Barring injury, John Tonelli will play his 1,000th National Hockey League game late next month. Chicago Stadium, we're getting ready for third period, but first, let's review what's happened thus far. With their thoughts, Pat Foley, Dale Talon.
Thank you, Jiggs. And the story of that second period, Jimmy Waite, Detroit out shooting Chicago 13-2, dominating the period, and yet the great goaltending of the Chicago netminder has kept the game tied. Ray Shepherd had a couple of great chances.
Well, Ray Shepherd has always been known as a scorer. Let the wrist shot go, the toe save, got his own rebound. Thought he had scored in the back end. Might have relaxed a little bit, but Jimmy Waite reached back desperately, full length, got the blocker and the stick on it, and kept it a 2-2 hockey game. And then as the Blackhawks were trying to get a puck through on a late power play situation, Fedorov gets the pass, breaks up the middle. Second breakaway of the night for Fedorov. Scored on his first one, but Jimmy Waite shut the door, and then Marchman came in and helped him out clearing the rebound. So great goaltending. Special teams the key in the first period. Chicago's power play and penalty killing superb, but goaltending the key for Chicago in the second. Detroit should have the lead.
You know Brian Murray must be saying, just keep it going, guys, the way you did. We'll get to him eventually. What do you think's being said, though, in the Chicago locker room?
Well, they have to stay out of the penalty box, firstly. They had 4 power plays against in the period. They also have to put some type of pressure on the slower defensemen of the Detroit Red Wings and start getting some chances. They had no chances to speak of on 2 power plays and whenever they were at even strength in the period.
The Detroit Red Wings and the Chicago Blackhawks locked up in a 2-2 tie. 20 minutes left to decide the issue. Jiggs McDonald?
Well, we'll find out in the third period coming up if there's a game breaker for either team. Folks having a good time at Chicago Stadium. Third period action coming up in just a moment.
Back in Chicago Stadium, the original sweaters being worn tonight and a copy of the original program, the Blackhawks Chicago National Hockey Team Incorporated, which cost 15 cents for that program. And if you would have been able to open that up, you would have been able to see the name of Talon in there. In the Hawk lineup.
Grandpa Talon, yeah. And here's tonight's program, a commemorative NHL 75th anniversary issue. And certainly it's not 15 cents. Maybe a quarter, but...
All right, here we go with the third period. A 2-2 game, and Jimmy Waite is the main reason for that. The Blackhawks have to try to get untracked offensively here in the third period. And here come the Wings off the draw. Fedorov 3-on-3 to the line. Got poke checked nicely by Chelios. And it's cleared to the neutral zone. Here comes Noonan over the line, weaving into the slot, kicked it to the stick and tried to shoot, but it didn't get through. And cleared to the near board where Fedorov captures for Detroit. He got it to center, and the return pass from Racine didn't click. Here's Chelios deep in his own end, winding it behind, and Steve Smith has to chase after it. Now Thomas on the near board. Steve Thomas bangs it down into the Red Wing zone. Here's Brad McCrimmon. Long feed taken away by Kuchera at center ice. Ranasek Kuchera flipped it back into the Red Wing zone. Taken by Lidstrom. Pass Tossed it around the boards. McCrimmon got a big hit from Lemieux in the corner, who took it away. He got it in front to Tonelli. He shot it up off the glass. Now Marchman kept it in. Now a steal by the wings, Lindstrom. Nicholas Lindstrom rolls it back into Chicago territory to the stick of Marchman. 22-year-old Brian Marchman cleared it, not out. Here's McCrimmon trying to center. Quick shot, they score! What a shot by Jimmy Carson, a one-timer. As the Hawks failed to clear it, McCrimmon found Carson alone, and bang! It's 3-2 Detroit.
Bob Probert's presence created that scoring chance. Peluso had a chance to play it around the boards, knew that Probert was coming. He took a look, took his eye off the puck, they braced for the hit. The puck was kept in by McCrimmon. He faked it, slid it over to Carson, and Carson, with the puck well in front of him, somehow was able to swat at it and put it past Jimmy Wade. But the presence of Bob Probert, who gets a lot of room and respect, created that scoring opportunity as Peluso was unable to clear the puck.
And Jimmy Carson capitalized now right from the draw. Here's Probert taking a big swing at the Hawk player that goes down in the turtle. Stu Grimson trying to take a hit for the team, and he did. Probert, it looked like he might have landed a big right, and Grimson never took his gloves off, and Probert now costing the Red Wings. After making a good play to help set up the lead goal, he now heads to the box, and the Hawks to the power play, and Grimson has a big welt on his face already. 3-2 Wings.
Bob Probert, 315 minutes in penalties last year in 55 games. Goes to the locker room. He drilled Stu Grimson. Grimson went in the turtle, but Probert was just hammering away. Grimson still without the gloves or stick down, and then Probert tried to gouge his eyes out after with the left, with the fingers, as Grimson was turned away from him.
5 minutes for fighting and a 10-minute misconduct at 139.
So 139, 2, 5, and 10 for Probert.
2 minutes for roughing at 139.
Well, Grimson gets 2 minutes for roughing at 139, but the 5-minute power play now for the Blackhawks as they trail 3-2.
Well, you talk about taking a hit for the team. Stu Grimson did that big time right there.
Well, that was the 10-minute misconduct is now a game misconduct.
So the Wings taking the lead at 133. They dropped the puck, and 6 seconds later, Grimson jumped by Probert, and the Red Wings now facing a 5-minute shorthanded situation. And of course, with a major, it's the full 5. The Hawks have an opportunity to score as many goals as possible, and the Wings will be shorthanded the full 5 minutes.
Detroit goal scored by Carson.
Carson gets his first from McCrimmon at 133, and now Cheveldae will be busier than he was in this segment, probably more than he was the entire second period.
Hawk power play was brilliant in the first period. It was awful in the second period. Let's see how the third period turns out for the Chicago special team. Roenick battles along the near board, works it loose to Goulet in the corner. Michel Goulet to the line, and Steve Smith across for Chris Chelios. Back to Smith. Put it into the corner, Larmer. Steve Larmer looks to clear, or had it to taken away, and the Red Wings clear. And now Smith's pass deflected. Roenick has to turn back for it. Had it poked away. Eisbach over the Hawk line trying to center one. Deflects to the line, held in by Racine, shooting. And it deflected wide. Coming to the near point, McCrimmon kept it in, but now Smith takes over for Chicago. He cleared it to center ice. Chelios feeding it ahead, and then Noonan was poke checked at the Detroit line. Kuchera bumped off the puck at center, stolen away. Here's a lead for Eisbach. He tries to cut in. A quick shot goes wide. And now Goulet starting back. Feeding Kuchera to center. Throws it into the Red Wing zone. Racine back. Turns looking for Yzerman, who clears. In the first minute and a half of this power play, the Hawks have been unable to get it into the Red Wing zone for any length of time. Here's Keith Brown. He pounds it in there. Around to the near side. Graham works the board. Now Graham pried it loose, but right to the stick of Yzerman. And the Detroit captain clears it. And a great start to this shorthanded situation for the visitors from Detroit. Brown had not reached center when he dumped it in, but Cheveldae plays it, so the play stays alive. Brad Marsh and Creighton battle in the corner. Now the puck came loose to the line. Brown moves it up the boards to Graham. Takes a look. Here's a shot. Tipped right on. Rebound. They score! Adam Creighton picked up the rebound. And on the power play, the Hawks have tied the game at 3.
Keith Brown at the point, faked the shot, slipped it into Graham. Graham waited, defenseman moved in, tried to feed it across to Kuchera, was swatted at by Cheveldae. Creighton gets the rebound and pops it in with Cheveldae on the seat of his pants. Kuchera coming in out of your screen. Graham tries to feed it across. It was deflected by Creighton. I think it was intended for Kuchera. Cheveldae made the initial save, but couldn't make the second save while he was down. A power play goal. There's still 2:49 remaining on the 5-minute major given to Bob Probert. So Creighton gets his first, and all 3 Blackhawk goals have come with the man advantage.
We mentioned the Hawks needing a big year from Adam Creighton. And he provides a very important goal in game 1 to get the Hawks even. And still, half of that major penalty remaining. And I think Brian Murray is taking time here, or it looks like he is, as the Detroit players head over toward their bench, but now apparently they'll keep going. He did not call a timeout. So Adam Creighton from Graham and Brown at 3:50 gets the Hawks even at 3. And now here's Kuchera, leaving it for Brown.
There's a line that we haven't seen before. Tonelli, Peluso, and Creighton.
Mike Peluso into the far corner, trying to center one well behind Creighton, though. It's stolen by Eisbart. All Eisbart over the Hawk line. Was surrounded, then his pass is deflected, and here comes Creighton back. Adam Creighton into the Red Wing zone. Moves in against Zombo, who rides him into the corner. A big flurry in there. Peluso jammed it out to Creighton. He centered it. Oh, Tonelli just shanked it wide of the net. Now Marchman in the far corner. Moves in there deep. Brian Marchman takes a look. Trying to put it to the deep slot, but it hits the skate. Back to center ice with 2 minutes left on the major penalty to Bob Probert. Early in the third, we're tied at 3. Here come the Hawks on the power play. Goulet has the line, racing in on Marsh. Dropped it for Larmer. He peels off to the corner. Steve Larmer. And to get it to Goulet, who scored the first 2 goals of the game for Chicago. Now Goulet side of the net shoots. He just missed the near post by an inch or 2. And it winds up back at the Hawk line. Larmer up the near board. Tied up there. Fedorov took it away and cleared. Here's Chris Chelios. He comes speeding to center ice, got around Fedorov, then put it over the line. Goulet stops along the boards, was surrounded, and it's taken away by Fedorov. Aired it to center, Smith there. Back over the line to Goulet. He feeds Roenick on the near board, shoots one with a backhander, and a good block by March. Now Larmer came up with it. To the line, Smith. Across to Chelios. Back to Steve Smith at the near point. Up the boards for Goulet. He leaves it for Smith to the corner. Roenick center. Larmer. Oh, he couldn't hold the pass. He was right in. Now Chelios. To Smith. Steve Smith's pass deflected back to center, and now there's half a minute to go on the Detroit penalty. Roenick. Got it over the line to Thomas. Fires! And a save by Cheveldae. The rebound to Goulet for Thomas. Oh, Cheveldae, a great poke check. Now Smith held it in. He got it to Noonan. Noonan takes a look back to Smith. The one-timer. Didn't get through. Bounced away from Thomas, and the Wings clear it. And the Detroit penalty now is over, so the Hawks able to get the equalizer with the 5-minute power play, but could not grab the lead. Here's Noonan to the line. Primo knocked the stick flying right out of his hands with a check. And it's cleared to center ice where Brown puts it right back into the Red Wings zone. 7 minutes gone in the third. And now the Wings have Primo breaking at center. Here's a lead for him. Didn't connect. However, he was offside on the play anyway. And the whistle sounds. Still early in the third period. It's Chicago 3 and Detroit 3.
Playing starting the 75th anniversary. Boston knocked off the Rangers 5-3. And Montreal beat the Toronto Maple Leafs 4-3. Said the Toronto Maple Leafs took the train to Montreal. I don't believe they'll be doing that anymore. Keep playing like they played last year, they'll be taking the bus.
Now Primo has the line. He got it to the near side. Here's Galano. Maybe one pass too many for Detroit. Back come the Blackhawks. Adam Creighton dumps it in. Cheveldae looking to clear. He did get it to center ice. Taken by Brown. Rolls it back into the Detroit end. Cheveldae sweeps it to the near board. Big Keith Primo in the collision with Stu Grimson. Now Creighton in there as well. And they hold it on the boards long enough to get a whistle.
The guys seem to be getting bigger and stronger. Primo 6'4", 220. He's just 20 years old. Maybe collision in the corner. Grimson, a big man as well. Creighton 6'5". Sambo, the Chicago area native, really has been one of the steadier blue liners for the Detroit Red Wings. Have been a plus-minus leader in this team for years. Keith Primo, he's a big guy, young guy. It's going to take him some time to get his coordination, but he's got great credentials, and he looks more impressive this year in this game alone than he did all of last season in limited duty.
Here's a situation you talked about earlier. John Tonelli on for the draw. He got beat that time, however. And McCrimmon clears it to center where Fedorov looks for Shepard, and a good play by Steve Smith to take it away. Steve Smith, if you joined us late, acquired yesterday by the Blackhawks from Edmonton, has not skated because he was involved in a contract holdout. He has not skated for 10 days. A lot of question whether he would play tonight, but he's played regularly, played very well. You never would have known that he hasn't been on skates. Now Chelios looking for Tonelli. Deflecting it to center ice. Greg Gilbert picks it up there. Lifted ahead into the Red Wing end. Ray Shepard on right wing. Cleared it ahead. Yzerman kicked it to the stick. Back to Shepard. The drive. That's blocked by Conroy nicely. Now Fedorov along the boards. Deep slot. Here's Racine's shot. Blocked by Goulet, who got out to his man in time. Back of the net is Yzerman dancing in front. He got knocked down. And the play goes on as Goulet slides it back into the Red Wing zone. Roenick hustling in there after it. Racine with a good hit separates him from the puck. And then the Red Wings will clear it back the other way. This will be an icing call against Detroit. Nearing the halfway. Pat Foley and Dale Talon in Chicago Stadium, along with 17,880. Watching opening night, they're watching the Wings come in. Oh, and at the last second, Kevin Miller went down before he could get rid of a shot. And back come the Hawks. Steve Thomas steps over the line, got around Racine, he cuts in, moves in, he shoots. Oh, it hit a man on the goal crease, and now no goal. The puck wound up in the net. Kerry Fraser said it was batted in with a glove. And what a bad break for Steve Thomas, who fired the puck past the fallen goaltender Cheveldae, only to have it hit a couple of players who had been wrestling and wound up in the net.
Well, Brian Noonan was shoved into the crease, lost his footing, and was tripped into the crease. Steve Thomas blew around the defenseman. Racine went down. Noonan is shoved into the net. Clearly an interference penalty, and the Detroit player goes into the net with him. That's one of those new college frat things where you try to get as many players in the net as possible to set a record in the Guinness Book. But the goal called in, shoved in by Noonan. Clearly Noonan put it in with his hand, but we don't know if the puck had crossed the line or not. But Fraser came in and waved it off. And Noonan pushed in and kept into the net. There are two players inside, and Steve Thomas would have had a glorious scoring chance if Noonan hadn't been pushed in the crease.
By the way,
Zombo with a good heads-up play there, understanding that he was in trouble, and he put Noonan and himself into the net.
By the way, the much ballyhooed debut of instant replay in the National Hockey League will be delayed, at least in this building. There's been some equipment that has not arrived or something, and there is no instant replay situation in this particular game.
No goal allowed and no penalty either. Zombo was lucky. He should have gotten an interference penalty there. He knocked Noonan into the net deliberately.
Now the Wings on the attack. Here's a centering pass. A turnaround shot attempted by Gallant, but it was blocked, and back comes Thomas. Feeding to the right wing boards, and Dirk Graham ruled to be offside on the play.
Dave Thomas and Garpenloff getting their sticks up, and then Gallant comes over and has words. Now Brown is in the middle of it.
Everybody separating here with 10 minutes left in the third period. 3-3. The game is 50 minutes old. Dale Talon, the Blackhawks have been held to 15 shots on goal.
They've only scored their goals with a power play. The man advantage has really kept them in the game. At even strength, Detroit's had the better of the play, the better chances, though there haven't been many chances. They've had an edge, and that was one question mark going into this year. Can the Hawks offense meet the challenge? Their defense has done the job tonight and throughout last year, but there's going to be more pressure on their defense if they don't score and get some offense at even strength.
Now in the neutral zone, Keith Brown rolls it up the boards. It deflects to Kuchera. Lead for Gilbert. Too far for him on the left wing board. Back into the red wing zone it goes, and Konstantinov to Gallant on the left side. He couldn't get it out. Back of the net it goes to Tonelli. He and Marsh dueling there. Now Lemieux in after it. Came up with it against Carson. Looking for Tonelli again, and again he and Marsh crashed together. Now it's dug out of there with one hand by Lemieux, but he couldn't get off the shot. Gerard Gallant then again failed to clear it. Lemieux in deep for Tonelli. This time it's he and Constantino.
Well, these new magnetic boards are working well.
And a big collision again. Constantino really got hammered along the boards.
And why did Kerry Fraser blow the whistle? The puck wasn't frozen and still in play, and he blew the whistle. But great board work by Tonelli and Lemieux as they just outworked. Konstantinov, not familiar with this style of play, would imagine a small rink, used to the bigger ice surfaces in international hockey, and not a lot of board work, a lot more open ice work. And Tonelli, who's a veteran at it, he and Brad Marsh had a battle. Lemieux and Konstantinov had a battle. Brad Marsh with that stickum all over his body and his equipment, able to hold on quite well against Tonelli. I wonder how many times they've battled along the boards, how many slivers they've had to pull out of their uniforms.
Probably build a pretty good sized boat if you put them all together. The Detroit Red Wings are trying to win their first game of the year, which if they do would be the first time in a decade that they've been able to win game one of their season. Their last 9 openers, Detroit has lost 6 and tied 3. The last time they won their initial game of the season was in 1981 when they beat the Rangers 5-2. 9 minutes to go here in the third period. Locked up at 3. Here comes Steve Yzerman. He has the Hawk line weaving to the far side. Stick handling around Chelios. He lost him behind the net. Now centered a shot. And it may have deflected wide. In behind it is fought for as Shepard got turned around to the plate. Fedorov after it. Then Shepard got it. Centering. Deflected to the line. Held in. A long shot from Lidstrom goes wide. And again it's picked up by Yzerman. Works in behind the Hawk goal. Trying to center one too far for Shepard. It's held in by McCrimmon. Trying to bank pass off the inboards. It didn't click. Now the Wings able to gain control. Here's Fedorov leaving for Yzerman. Long flip shot gloved easily by Waite. And he'd like to hang on as the Hawks are running around in their own zone like they are in a fire drill. And Jimmy Waite gets a whistle. Still tied here at 3-up.
Well, the Rangers just doing their impersonations of the Harlem Globetrotters in that last play, or I should say the Red Wings, all over Chicago in their own zone, not allowing them any opportunity to get out of the zone.
After the Hawks had a problem on their last shift, now it's Creighton, Lemieux, and Peluso. On for Chicago. Here come the Wings. Here's a lead. Another breakaway for the Wings. Wait a minute. You're not going to score there. Jimmy Wade stopped Eisbart, who was in all alone. And now an offside play at the other end. Jimmy Wade, a spectacular debut for the 91-92 campaign. And here are all the people that were chanting Eddie, Eddie in the first 4 minutes of the game. How quickly they forget.
At 3:57, the chant Eddie, Eddie, Eddie after Fedorov made it 2-0. But now he's getting a standing ovation. Well, the third breakaway of the night for the Red Wings. Perfect pass. He stuck in behind everyone. Eisbart tried to go to the same spot that Fedorov scored on, but Wade that time showed a quicker glove. Got a piece of it, and the Red Wing player overskated the rebound as everyone let the Red Wings get back into position for a second opportunity. Well, Jimmy Wade has made some great saves since the start of the second period.
Now the play at center, and Tonelli, or rather Roenick, got stopped at the Detroit line. It shot the other way. Smith puts the touch on it for an icing call against Detroit. Jimmy Wade keeping the Hawks in it. Still locked up at 3. Pat Foley, Dale Talon in Chicago Stadium. A great opening night for year 75 of the NHL. An exciting hockey game between two Norris Division rivals. The Red Wings a year ago on the road in 40 games had only 8 wins. And they must improve on that this season. Here's Zombo looking for Eisbart. He got help from Sean Burr. He just fires at the length, and it's going to be an icing call again against Detroit.
Well, in their 66 years that they've played each other, the Red Wings have won 110 times against the Blackhawks on the road, but they have a big advantage at home. And an advantage overall in 595 games. 293 to 228 and 74 have ended up in ties.
25-year-old Sean Burr gets ready as Lemieux and Kevin Miller will go for the draw. Now Miller and Lemieux tossed out. So it's Burr and Graham. And Graham got it to Kucher, whose shot is blocked, and the Red Wings off to the races. Here comes Eisbart. Gets the line shooting. He tried for the top shelf and shot it up off the glass. Back come the Hawks now. Thomas into the offensive zone. The drive, and Brad Marsh, the deflection up over the glass into the crowd. 10 seconds here for station identification.
Sports Channel America is where you'll find exclusive national cable television coverage of all NHL regular season and Stanley Cup playoff games. We're glad you're with us.
Eisman replaces Sean Burr at center on this particular shift, but what a good effort by Sean Burr, who lost the draw in the last sequence in his own zone. Puck came back to Kuchera, who let one rip, but Burr just threw his body in front of it, blocked it. And Eisbart had a partial break along the near boards and cranked one high and wide just over the glove hand of Jimmy Wade.
For that man, Steve Yzerman, the Detroit captain, 4 straight years of 50 goals or more and 100 points or more. The last 4 in a row.
He's already 3rd in the all-time scoring list for the Detroit Red Wings, and he's only played 8 years.
And he's got 800 points. Now here come the Wings, and Jimmy Wade forcing the man too wide. Here come the Hawks back 3-on-2 if they hurry. Here's Larmer. He's got the line moving into traffic and couldn't get off a shot. Detroit on the counterattack. Yzerman chipped it ahead, and a good play by Goulet defensively to stop that rush, but the Wings try to move back in, and that is thwarted as well.
Goulet heads up play. Smith went in deep, got caught, and Goulet had thoughts of going in and settled back and took a spot, and it was a good thing because he made up a good play.
Steve Larmer centering pass deflects into the far corner. Hacked around to the near side. Kuchera keeps it in and puts it back around the board. Gerard Gallant cleared it to center ice. Hawks dump it back in there, and here's Brad McCrimmon. Over to Johan Garkenloff, who bounces it to the line, and it trickles back to center ice. And Gallant got around Brown, steps over the Hawk line, and Brian Noonan tied up his stick from behind beautifully to prevent a very dangerous chance. Here come the Hawks now. Brown will dump it in there as Chicago heads for a change, and they ruled that he did not reach center. So an icing call made here against the Blackhawks. Brian Noonan the last couple of years has had more trips to Indianapolis than A.J. Foyt, and his 5th year as a member of the Chicago organization. And the Hawks, you talked about the need to get some other offensive production. Here's a very skillful player who very well could provide some of that.
Well, he needs to get off to a good start, though, because they have not been patient with Noonan. Though he's had good training camps, he has not had good starts. And as a result, the last 2 years he's found himself gone to Indianapolis. He's had some good years the last 2 years. 40 goals 2 seasons ago and 38 goals last year with Indianapolis in limited time as far as the total number of games. But he had a wonderful training camp, led the team in scoring in exhibition play, and made a fine defensive play in that last situation with Gallant bearing in on the left wing.
Here's an errant pass by the Hawks. Another icing call coming up here against Chicago.
And both these teams settling into a defensive battle here in the last 5 minutes of this period with 5 minutes to go. A lot of neutral ice play, a lot of safe plays by both teams around the boards, and dump outs and dump ins. And it's going to come down, I think, to face-off special situations that you have to give the edge to the Red Wings with their centermen, because the Hawks are not good at face-offs. And that was one of their negatives last year and in the playoffs.
In the last 35 minutes of this hockey game, Detroit has limited Chicago to a grand total of 6 shots on net. Tim Chevelday's major problem has been remaining alert. There is Chevelday clearing it around the boards. Burr hacked it out to center the race on there, and Conroy got to the loose puck for Graham. Banks it ahead to Lemieux. Jocelyn Lemieux's pass hit McCrimmon. And Brad McCrimmon clears it back the other way. Brian Marchment out to center, and Thomas gets over the line and then stick handled it back outside. Well, the offside whistle blows. 4.5 to go in the third. Hawks 3, Wings 3. Down to white knuckle time in the stadium. A 3-3 game into the last few minutes of the third. Here's Racine in his own end. Looking to clear, couldn't get it out. Now it is cleared back to the Chicago line. Taken by Smith. Gave it to Goulet. Long feed just off the stick of Larmer. Back into the Red Wing end. He and Racine come together behind the net. And they'll hold it there for a whistle.
Gary Fraser with a quick whistle tonight whenever there's been a situation along the boards where players are trying to freeze it and trying to pry it loose. It's the second time in this part of the period where he's blown the whistle quickly to get faceoffs. Michel Goulet with 2 goals in his first 2 shots. 5:31 and 9:48 of the first period. Both goals coming on the power play. And now he has 489 career goals. Very nearly had the hat-trick pad on his next shift and a short-handed opportunity. Fedorov, great rookie year, but he has to learn to play better on the road. He only had 52 of his points on the road, or at home, I should say, Fedorov, of the 79 he scored.
Now Hawks steal, centering pass. Oh, and Creighton lifted it just wide of the target. And the Wings looked to clear, but Creighton held it in for a moment. Now Fedorov comes back for Detroit. Fedorov got turned around at the Hawk line. He drops it back to Konstantinov, who pounds it in. Chelios back. There's Chelios to Brian Noonan. Covered by Carson along the board. Hawks don't get it out. Here's Burr, a long wrist shot deflecting. And Paluso slides it back to the Red Wing end. Vladimir Konstantinov to Jimmy Carson. He shovels it in. Deep Brown puts it around the boards, and now it's finally corralled by the Hawks. Kuchera. He's got the line, turning on the near board, and then ran into traffic there. The Wings start back. Carson on for Gallant, who's passed to Flex, and Kuchera controls for Chicago. Gave it to Thomas, banked away from him to McCrimmon, and a shot sailed just wide of the far post. Now Graham couldn't get it out. Back into the far corner it goes. Carson put it to the deep slot. Here's a shot, and Lindstrom's drive deflected up high. Now Graham sends it back the other way, and it'll be an icing call coming up here against the Blackhawks.
Hawks had possession. That bank pass along the near boards deflected off Thomas to McCrimmon. McCrimmon almost gave Detroit the go-ahead goal. I think Waite might have gotten a piece of it with the edge of the blocker.
Down to 2.5 minutes remaining in the third period. We mentioned the Red Wings last year on the road. They won only 8 games out of 40. The Blackhawks last year at home lost only 8 games out of 40. They had the second best home record in the league. Face off to the left of Jimmy Waite, who has been nothing short of terrific. The draw is taken by the Hawks. Now Roenick, been used sparingly in the later stages of this game. He spins in the corner, dropped it back to the line. Conroy shot, and a save by Chevrolet. Rebound Roenick. Gave it to Conroy on the board. Centered one, and deflected away from Roenick, and winds up back in the Hawk zone on the stick of Marchment. 2 minutes to go in the third. Brad March. Off the right wing board, taken by Eisbart. Drives it in. Kevin Miller to the corner. Knocked off his stick to the goal mouth, and a diving Waite goes down to halt the play.
Jimmy Waite has done that with regularity tonight. Whenever his team has been in trouble, he's shown good composure, and he's been able to freeze the puck. President of the National Hockey League, John Ziegler, trying to tell that young lady where he got his shirt.
Looks like he borrowed that tie from the gal sitting next to him.
We mentioned Jimmy Waite showing a lot of composure, although he's not limited in experience in the NHL. He's had 2 solid years in the International League. He saw a loose puck and froze it and got the Blackhawks reorganized, and they've been having difficulty in their own zone in the last moments of this third period.
Now play in the neutral zone as Greg Gilbert whacks it in. Vladimir Konstantinov goes up the middle to Steve Yzerman. Pushing it into the Chicago zone. Lemieux into the corner, lost the handle. There's a stuff shot and a save by Waite. He did a great job to get to the near post before Shepard could stuff it in. Now the Hawks start back. 3-on-2. Lemieux with a dump in, hoping for Gilbert, but he was beaten to the loose puck by McCrimmon, and whistle sounds for the icing call. 64 seconds left in the third period.
Jocelyn Lemieux twice on this shift didn't go the extra mile. He casual in his attempt to get to a loose puck in his own corner. Fedorov beat him to it, almost resulted in a wraparound goal, and then instead of taking that extra step to get to the line and dump it in, he just fired it from his own side, and another face-off in the Blackhawks zone.
Jeremy Roenick stepping on the ice. He should be well rested. We have not noticed him on the ice very much in the second and third period. He's out there with Steve Thomas and Dirk Graham.
Racine with 40 assists last year, had 80 assists, 85 assists his last year of junior hockey in Victoriaville. So he moves the puck well. Good offensive defense.
Racine shot goes wide. Carson, Garpenloff, and Gallant for Detroit. And now it's layered to center ice. Quickly back come the wings. Carson shot deflected wide. On the near board is Thomas. Steve Thomas layers it to center. Now taken by Gallant. He leaves it for Garpenloff, who flips it in. Chelios couldn't get it out. Garpenloff's shot goes wide. Nothing to the near corner. Jimmy Carson picks it up. There's it around the board. Now a centering pass picked off by Waite to Chelios. And with 16 seconds left, Chris Chelios Fires it off the boards back the other way. And the Blackhawks in a rope-a-dope style here to head to overtime. We've got 5 more minutes or less to play as regulation time comes to an end. We head into extra time in the stadium, locked up at 3.
Jimmy Carson scored at 1:33 to make it 3-2 with the Blackhawks on a 5-minute power play. Graham deflected by Creighton. Chevalier made the save, and on the rebound, Adam Creighton tied it up at 3:50. Meanwhile, the Red Wings had a big edge in play once again. Most of it was played in the Chicago half. The pass onto the stick of Eisbart. Eisbart goes in, tries to go hide the glove. Jimmy Waite, brilliant, makes the glove save on the breakaway. And Jimmy Waite is the reason that this game is going to overtime. He's been outstanding in the second and third periods. And the Blackhawks power play has scored all 3 of their goals.
The Hawks were outshot in the third 7-6. They've been outshot in this game 27-17 so far. Here comes Thomas, though. His shot is blocked, picked up by Roenick, and Thomas. He blasted it off the side of the net. Roenick in deep, battles back of the goal with Zombo. Now Larmer centered it, came free in front. Big save by Chevalier. Rebound, Chevalier! He stopped Roenick, and then maybe even a better save on Thomas. And Chevalier, spectacular here in the first seconds of OT.
Off the face-off at center ice, the Hawks come flying. Thomas playing on the left wing. Played the last exhibition game with Roenick and Larmer. Roenick shot the save. He fans at it as it's stepped on by Zombo, but it goes to Thomas. He whips a backhander blindly into the middle of the Chevalier protector. And the game remains tied. Roenick with the first good chance. Fans on his second. And the whip backhand shot by Steve Thomas. And it's still a 3-3 game.
That might be the best chance, other than their goal, that might be the best chance they've had since the first period.
How about even strength? Most of their chances have come on the power play. But even strength, they've had few of them. They had 1 goal disallowed. Thomas and Noonan crashed the net.
Brad McCrimmon flipping it to center. Smith to Goulet. His pass rolled over the stick of Creighton, and now Adam got it back, but his pass stolen by McCrimmon. Got it to Miller over the line, and offside with Sean Burr going up the middle.
Brad McCrimmon made a good play. Adam Creighton dumped a high backhander to the near wing. Goulet was open. If it gets over the head of McCrimmon, Goulet would have had clear sailing all the way in. But McCrimmon jumped up, gloved it, and gave his team an offensive break. But, Burr went through the middle too quickly and forced an offside.
Carson, Gallant, and Garpenlaw for Detroit. Lemieux, Gilbert, and Graham for Chicago. Lemieux bangs to center. Flopping around, winds up back in the Red Wings zone. Lemieux hustles, gets there, turns behind, centered it to the line of shot, and a save rebound! Chevalier again shut the door. He stopped Marchman and then had a flurry in front of the net. And Tim Chevalier now becomes the story in overtime.
Well, Chevalier has been well rested, but he comes up big in the early part of the overtime. Lemieux just with good second effort and hustle. Gets tripped up, but as he goes to the ice, he sweeps a backhand out to Marchman. Marchman cranks it up. Graham hacks at it once, hacks at it twice, but the stacked pads of Chevalier prevent the Blackhawks from winning it in overtime.
The Red Wings last year had 34 wins. That fella, Tim Chevalier, was credited with 30 out of the 34. The most wins for a Detroit goaltender in almost in 25 years or so. The last time a Detroit netminder won more than Chevalier's 30 last year was Roger Crozier, who had, I believe, 40 wins back in 64, 65. So it's been a long time since the Red Wings have had a #1 goaltender to have the kind of year that Tim Chevalier had last season.
I like Chevalier's style. He's very quick. He's agile. He's got good leg work. The 4th-round pick in 1986.
He's 23 years old. Now back in the Hawk zone it goes. Chelios The left wing boards and Thomas. Steve Thomas's pass deflects, but Smith carries on. And the crowd trying to spur the home team on here. Smith in his own end. Goes up the boards, looking for Creighton. It didn't click. Back come the wings. Fedorov over the line to Yzerman, shooting up off the glass. And now controlled by Thomas. 3 minutes to go. Here's Chelia. Chipping it in, hoping for Creighton in the corner against Zombo, but Rick Zombo won the puck. Got it to the left wing boards and Fedorov. Looking for Yzerman. Now Shepard over the line, tees it up, and then it's poke checked away. Nice play by Steve, or rather Kuchera, who leads the Hawks back. Trying to set Kuchera to Noonan. He moves in. Couldn't pull the trigger on the backhand. Now the wings come away. Fedorov over the line to Miller. His drive blocked at the Hawk defense by Lemieux. And Karam's back to center ice. Wings dump it in, but they were short of center when the puck was shot ahead, and the whistle sounds for an icing violation against Detroit.
It was almost like the Blackhawks were relieved that it went into overtime. They probably felt they didn't deserve to be in overtime, and all of a sudden they've got a second win, and they've dominated the play in the overtime and have had more chances in the overtime than they had maybe the entire game at even strength. They had 5 shots on goal, and all of them quality shots. Only had 9 shots in the first, only 2 in the second, and 6 in the third. Now Brian Murray's going to call his timeout. He doesn't like the situation. I think he wants to give his top players a bit of a breather with 2:12 to go in the overtime, so he calls his timeout.
Well, the Red Wings certainly, by virtue of chances, deserve a better fate. If they played that well, or would you say that the Blackhawks might be showing some signs of tightness?
Well, it's a combination of the two. I think Detroit has really played a smart game. They've kept it basic. They've put more pressure on the Blackhawks. Their forechecking has been better. Well, the difference is their power play and penalty killing has hurt them as it has in the past few years. Jimmy Waite making the good saves. Now Cheveldae coming to the front, but Detroit has played a very good game. As we said, they're a much improved team. They were probably one of the most improved teams last year, and I think they've even improved again this year. Maybe not quite as much, but they're a better team in the whole North Division. Even Toronto's improved with the trade they made. Grant Fuhrer, if he stays healthy, you wouldn't want to have to face him 8 times. You know you're going to come on the short end of the stick if he's on.
Roenick, Larmer, and Thomas for Chicago. Miller, Eisbart, and Burr for Detroit. The draw to the wing. Now on the far side, Paul Eisbart sends Kevin Miller to center. Miller over the Hawk line, trying to get around a check. Chelio's got enough of him to tie him up, and back comes Thomas. His pass missed Larmer at center. And now Steve Smith flipped it ahead to Thomas. Thomas banks it ahead. Larmer races after it. Turns on McCrimmon, but he went down trying to make a quick move, and it's cleared to center ice. 1:40 left in overtime. And here the Hawks offside on the play.
Two other games, as we mentioned, the original 6 teams going at it tonight in the original jerseys. And Boston beat the New York Rangers 5-3. I think Milt Schmidt scored the winner in that one, and the Rocket Richard scored the winner as Montreal beat Toronto 4-3. Bill Durnan in the net for Montreal.
The Hawks hoping Bill Mosienko can get a chance here in overtime. Now here's the play in the Red Wings zone. A long shot by Brown, and Cheveldae went down to stop it. It's cleared back to center. Brown got tied up. Here comes Carson trying to find it at his feet, and Graham got back to tie him up.
Boy, 2 360s there by Carson. Looked like Brian Boitano.
Garpenlaw looking to clear, and did get it out to center ice. Hawks dump it back in. Constantino. As we go to the final minute of the game. He feeds Carson on right wing. Tipped it ahead to Garpenloff. Turns behind the Hawk net on Kuchera. Garpenloff turns, looking, trying to center one. Chelios blocked the pass. Gallant put it in behind. Garpenloff's there again. His pass is deflected and stolen by Larmer, who gets yanked down. The play goes on. Here comes Thomas. He flips it in there. And Aronik in a big collision with Zombo in the corner, and the Wings able to clear it. And the Hawks back in offside with just half a minute to go.
Steve Larmer wanted to go the length of the ice. He had room, but he was yanked down as he tried to skate out of his own zone. Now, Jimmy Waite was brilliant in the second and third periods. Jim Chevelday outstanding in the overtime. The Hawks came flying out of the gate the first minute of the overtime and had 4 quality chances.
And Mike Keenan, I believe, wants his timeout here.
It was an unusual timeout signal, though. It looked like it was a combination of many things. Frustration by Keenan on no call in that last one. It wasn't too many years ago that Kerry Fraser bought Mike Keenan's house in New Jersey. Must have had bad plumbing or something.
You're right. He was unhappy with that last non-call, and I've never seen a guy signal a timeout with one finger as he just did. But Kerry Fraser gives him the TO, and now with half a minute left. Draw will be just outside the Detroit line. Yzerman with Fedorov and Shepard. Aronik, Larmer, and Thomas out there for Chicago, and the draw is taken by Racine. Bounced it ahead. Chelios broke it up. Clear to the neutral zone. Blackhawks dump it in. 10 seconds to go. Racine back. Gave it away. Roenick centered it. Bouncing puck corralled by the Red Wings. And Shepard cleared it to center ice. And that's going to do it. Fedorov, a long shot, goes wide at the buzzer. And this game finishes in a 3-3 tie. The Blackhawks in overtime had maybe their best sequence of chances in the game. The Hawks, with 7 shots in overtime, finished with a total of 24. The Red Wings had just 1 shot in OT. Their final total is 28. And the Red Wings certainly glad to get a point on the road, but certainly must be feeling as if they deserved a better fate.
They played well at even strength. What killed them were their special teams. Their power play didn't score, and their penalty killing didn't stop the Hawk power play. So the power play and goaltending for Chicago, and the failure of the Red Wings to score on their own power play and take advantage of the chances they had. Jimmy Waite was outstanding in the second and third periods, and Chevelday shut the door early in the overtime to keep it a 3-3 game.
The Blackhawks from here head to Minnesota on Saturday night, and many of these same stations will be carrying that game in Chicago. Radio time beginning at 6:50 on WBBM, and will be on at 7 o'clock Central Time for the Blackhawks and the Minnesota North Stars, the team that knocked them out of the playoffs in a stunning upset in last spring's playoffs. That comes up on Saturday night. Your final here from Chicago Stadium in the opener, Chicago 3.
The National Hockey League underway at Boston, where the Bruins win, at Montreal, where the Canadiens win. But here at Chicago, a 3-3 tie in overtime. For their analysis of the game, back to the booth. Here's Pat and Dale.
Thanks, Jiggs, and a very thrilling opening night here in Chicago Stadium. 2 longtime rivals going at it tooth and nail once again, and really the 3-3 tie has to be a very fortunate tie as far as the home team is concerned.
Well, sometimes when you open at home, you're a little bit more tight than the visiting team. You'd like to open sometimes on the road, but Jimmy Waite was outstanding in his opening game. He makes a great save in the third period on an Eisbart breakaway. Third breakaway of the game for Detroit. One of them they scored on early in the first period. Fedorov had a breakaway, but Eisbart stymied by the glove save from Jimmy Waite, who came on in the second and third period after giving up 2 early goals. And then the Blackhawks with their power play. 3 goals on the power play, and this one the tire. Probert off for 5 minutes, and Adam Creighton on his own rebound put it in to tie the game. and the Blackhawks salvaged a tie because of their power play. And then early in the overtime, the Blackhawks seemed relieved. They came on flying. Roenick with the attempt, and then Steve Thomas on the backhand. Best save of the night for Cheveldae as he kept it a 3-3 game. So Cheveldae shut the door in overtime. Waite did the job in the second and third periods, but a good performance by Detroit. Solid power play work for Chicago, and that's the game.
And it really is amazing that the Red Wings struggle as much as they do, especially on their power play with all the firepower they appear to have.
Well, they try to be too perfect, and they're not basic on it. They don't shoot the puck enough.
All right, the Blackhawks and the Red Wings finish up in a 3-3 tie, Jigs McDonald.
Pat, it was wonderful to see this game at Chicago Stadium. The fans into it as always. The old uniforms, the referees wearing what the referees wore years ago. Certainly the pace of the game much quicker than when the league began 75 years ago. And I think you'd all agree that we've just seen the tip of the iceberg in this wonderful 75th anniversary. And we're glad you're able to join us on Sports Channel. Once again, the final score, the Chicago Blackhawks 3, the Detroit Red Wings 3. Be sure to tune in Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific for more hard-hitting NHL action. It's a rematch of last season's Norris Division semifinals featuring the Chicago Blackhawks and the Campbell Conference champion Minnesota North Stars. It's all right here Saturday at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, only on Sports Channel America. For Pat Foley and Dale Talon, this is Jigs McDonald. You've been watching the National Hockey League on Sports Channel America. We now join Golf America, already in progress.